It's the Perfect Game 2024 National Showcase, day one and the first of a couple of games. Brett Dolan, Steve Phillips here from Phoenix, Arizona. And Steve, we watch these teams go through their workouts and whatnot, but it always is fun to see these young men get up on the mound and step in the batter's box and play 10 innings.
Yeah, I think that, they go through the workouts and batting practice, and they run and they throw and they show off their tools and their skills. But then you get a game situation. That's really what when scouts sort of sit up in their seats a little bit, because it's one thing to run fast, but there's a reason why sprinters aren't baseball players. There's another, there's another one who hit batting practice, hit the ball a mile, but there's another reason why bodybuilders aren't baseball players, right? It's not just tools, it's skills to play the game, and that's where you see some of the baseball players, quote unquote, come out and show their game.
Here is the roster for Team Black. You see the Perfect Game rankings on the right side. These rosters presented by Launch Hydrate. And again, not your normal game. These teams will bat somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 players. So maybe 2 at-bats over the course of a game. But we'll introduce you to these young men as we go along. But see some primary positions as well. That's all for Team Black. And meanwhile, these pitchers, the primary pitcher is scheduled to go a couple of innings. So it's an opportunity really to see them face anywhere from 6 to 10 batters as we round out Team Black. Again, the roster presented by Team Launch Hydrate. And going to see a left-hander on the mound for Columbia Blue to begin things. Is Cameron Appenzeller out of Springfield, Illinois. He is a South Carolina commit. Big guy, 6'5", 180 pounds.
Yeah, I think that the scouts sitting up watching this, the body frame, right? I mean, he's got the body of a kid still, but a frame that you look at and just close your eyes and you think about projection, because scouting is about looking at what a player is today and then closing your eyes and dreaming about what he could become in the future. And you could see this young man fill out with his body frame and add a lot of velocity moving forward.
I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, it is, the frame is there, the body isn't quite to that point. And this is William Patrick from Monroe, Louisiana. PG rank 103. And we're off and rolling at a pitch that's upstairs at 92 miles an hour. William Patrick from St. Frederick High School. That's kind of a ritual he goes through. And he said when his mom will bless him with holy water before every game. So I don't know if that travels. Hopefully it does. Hopefully they were able to get that in today. And the pitch is on the outside corner for a called strike.
I was told to prepare for this broadcast with you that I should also maybe do the same thing.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 92, 93 miles per hour, 6'5" and 180 pounds. I mean, think about the growth and projection for a young man like this. And so certainly a guy that you can close your eyes and dream can add a lot of velocity to that fastball.
Little tapper that will go foul. When you see a pitcher for the first time, Steve, and you watch him go through his warm-up pitches, and you're starting that process, and you know you're going to get to see him for a couple of innings, is there something first and foremost you look for, fluidity of mechanics or control and command?
Well, first, especially an event like this, Major League Stadium, poise. What's the body language looking like? And he looks very confident on the mound. But, yeah, the fluidity and how the ball comes out of his hand.
Paint strike 3 over the inside corner.
And locating the fastball, certainly part of that as well. And then, for a young guy, I just want to see him spin the ball in some way. But he goes right back with the fastball right at the knees, well framed behind the plate, and a called third strike.
And it brings up Trevor Gotan, who ran a 6.3 160 earlier today. So we've seen these guys go through the skills and whatnot. And this is part of the process of now seeing them in games. But there are some skills performances that get your attention. That was one of those. Spent a lot of time working on speed, and no surprise he's a Trey Turner fan, and there's a guy that has made a big part of his career being able to do the same thing, and he waves and misses at a high fastball.
I think for the hitters, again, taking a deep breath, being poised in the box, you want to look at the body frame, the athleticism in there, the balance at the plate, good strong position to get started. Watch the launch of the hands moving. You watch him set up, and his hands don't do a lot of movement back, right? It's almost like you're going to throw a punch. You want to move those hands back to be able to get to a launch position to get the bat through. He's got pretty still hands right now in the box.
Pitch finishes down and in.
But that's something that you know, the more he plays, whether at the collegiate level or professionally, they'll get him getting those hands moving a little bit more.
You know, sometimes it is facing pitchers of this caliber in this event that might encourage a few tweaks, because you are seeing velocity. You know, if you're just a little bit behind some of these pitchers, you know, at the next level, you're going to see a lot more, such as this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a great opportunity for players to figure out where they are in the baseball world, right? I mean, when we used to bring players over from Asia at the major league level, they would always say, we want to find out our place in the baseball world. And this is an opportunity with all of the best for these young men to get a real sense of where they fit in within that group.
And I think Trevor told us as much in one of his questions in the bio, and I love it. He said he was cut from his travel team a few years ago and realized how much he wanted it, how hard he needed to work to get to this point, and he lifts one in the air, shallow center. How about a nice sliding catch? What an effort by Troy Ford. Was wondering if he might just continue to slide or skid right by that baseball, but was able to track it down.
Got a little bit of a late jump on it. Was a little hesitant at first. As you see, he sort of hesitates, and they realize, I better get going right now. He comes in, and you always worry about communication in a showcase event. The outfielders are told, go for it. You're in charge, making the call. Infielders go until you're called off.
And his second baseman, Pierce, just about ran into him. So how they didn't have some type of contact and the play was made was a little bit hard to believe. But the out was recorded, and here is our third batter of the inning. Strike called over the inside corner. Thomas Okono.
Left-hand hitting catcher.
Soft tapper to second. Should be an easy play. And will the flip to first to retire Okono to end the first. Off and rolling here in our first of two games today from the Perfect Game National Showcase. Bottom of the first inning, first of two games. Got the Columbia blue and black teams going at it. Black put up a scoreless top of the first. Take a look at the roster for Columbia blue, presented by Launch Hydrate. And this is the roster, not the lineup, but you do see the PG rankings, the primary positions. You'll see some pitchers that might get an at-bat. Primary pitchers should get a couple of at-bats. And Jaden Strowman's going to step in to begin things. What an impressive performance he had earlier today, the brother of Marcus. And we'll tell you more about this pitcher as we go along as well. Jackson Hoyt, a Florida native. And his self-scouting report's an interesting one. He said, my best skills is my velo as a lefty. I've been up to 94 in high school. And pretty good command of his off-speed pitches, a slider and a changeup. So we shall see. And he'll roll in a pitch to Strowman to begin this sequence.
Well, Marcus Strowman is a pitcher, good athlete, and their father is a big bodybuilder. He is a big, strong guy.
Here's a look at Jaden. You see his rankings and whatnot, but a Duke commit.
Yeah, like his brother.
That's right.
Marcus went to Duke and actually ended up getting his degree from Duke, and a very bright young man.
Well, Steve, earlier today, all Strowman did is run a 6.43 and then a 6.45. He threw 96 from the outfield. He threw 96 from the infield and hit a 416-foot home run in BP.
Wow.
Right-handed, and then he turned around and batted left-handed, too.
Wow. And
is that enough?
That's impressive. National rank 43 right now in the rankings. Very well thought of.
Hoyt's next pitch. Cut on a missed. Down goes Strowman. Good beginning as well for our pitcher Jackson Hoyt from Brooksville, Florida.
Yeah, Hoyt, good-looking guy. Does a little glove tap in his delivery. As he starts to go to the plate, he taps the ball back into his glove again as he throws, and it's for rhythm and balance, and you wonder whether that's something that they'll allow him to maintain if he gets at the higher levels.
Here's Peter Marshan, had a good BP earlier today. Ran a 6.5, 160, facing Jackson Hoyt, who is a Florida commit. That ball's tagged in the air to center field, starting to travel deep part of the yard, and the ball will not be caught cleanly. And that's going to result in a couple of bases for Marshan, as Damian Montanez had a long route to get to that baseball and could not bring it in.
Well, outfield playing shallow here, and he gets this high fastball and drives it to center field, and hustling out of the box right there. And, you know, one of the things they'll teach young outfielders is turn and run to the spot, right? He sort of, you know, glided with that ball a little bit instead of running to get to spot then turning. And that's about the instincts and growing and learning. The more fly balls he tracks, the more comfortable he'll become.
That's a great point. He was drifting just a bit rather than turning and running. Probably worth mentioning is Fski bats here. You know, these guys are playing indoors. I mean, it is a different experience for a lot of these kids.
Depth perception, much different for all of these young guys. And that's why getting some batting practice and some time in to shag earlier certainly can be helpful.
Fski from Willowbrook, Illinois. A lot of Illinois natives. And a handful of these teams we'll see today. So a left-on-left matchup. Jackson Hoyt trying to pick up another out. Hoyt said his recruiting process was very short. He was in contact with a few teams like Florida State and Vanderbilt, but Florida won out over Miami and Auburn and others.
Oh, just a few teams. Just
all
Florida State, Florida, yeah. And Florida, obviously, great season this year for Florida. This young man is, listen, he's got a great frame on the mound. I like his breaking ball. I'd love to watch the left-on-left matchups here to see how he's going to pitch to him.
Yeah, Florida was his dream school, so they won out. But that breaking pitch has been one where he's thrown it early in the count. They're using to finish off Fski for his second K.
And he knows how to use it, right? The idea of when you're ahead in the count, start it over the plate. You see it go to the middle of the plate and then break it off the plate. So it looks like it's going to be a strike for the hitter. He has to commit and protect because he's down in the count, and he ends up swinging and missing.
Yeah, that's interesting. It feels like that hitter has to commit down in the count. Dax Kilby, next man in. Clemson, commit. Hoyt getting a couple of lefties here in this first.
And I do like to watch the hitters left on left here. As a former left-handed hitter myself, in a showcase event, I would not want to have to face a 6'4" lefty throwing 94 with a great hook, necessarily.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, goodness, can I get a right-handed pitcher for my first at-bat?
Can I please? You know, I remember spring training games facing the Cardinals organization, having 5 left-handed guys come in. I'm like, can you give me a right-handed hitter, please?
Just one.
Yeah. That was the golden sombrero day for me.
Yeah, you probably weren't the only one, though, in that situation. Next one on the way to Kilby. It's cut on a miss. Tell you what, that slider has a change in velocity in addition to the break.
Really good pitch. Now, he's throwing the fastball and beat him with the fastball. He's gone to the breaking ball. We saw him get the strike 3 last at bat with a breaking ball that starts in the zone and breaks out. See if he goes right back to it.
Well, that time he drilled it.
Yeah, and you know what? He got caught up on looking at the runner on second base as he started his delivery to the plate. And again, he's not taking the base, right? They'll put somebody in to run for him. But you saw his head sort of looking back to second, looking back
right
home, see right there. And I think it threw him off. Like, you can't worry about that runner at second base. You got 2 outs, go right at the hitter. But I do think that affected his release point.
No, it's a good point. And in a showcase situation, you know, if runners are going all over the place on me, I'm concentrating on the hitter, but especially when I've invested 2 really good pitches to get ahead.
Listen, you're not going to get drafted or get a scholarship to school based upon how you're going to hold the runner at second base right now. get the hitter out and make a pitch here. So, but listen, this kid's got he'll learn as he goes, but there's a lot to work with Hoyt.
He said his arm strength has really grown tremendously as of late. He just misses outside. He battled a growth plate issue his freshman and sophomore years, and certainly now that he's gotten that behind him, the strength has increased. Chopper towards short. A little bit of a bobble, but still a barehanded flip and scoop to second base to end the inning.
It's a way to stay with it right there.
Manny Lantigua able to make the play, so a couple of runners left on base. We've completed one inning in our first game between Black and Columbia. Here we go to the second inning. Jordan Jacob is going to bat. Young man from Maple, Ontario, Canada. Pittsburgh commit. First pitch in there from the left-hander for strike one.
Yeah, you're seeing more and more Canadian players, baseball becoming more popular there, and opportunities down in the States and getting college scholarships and a chance to go play some more baseball.
Take a look at Jordan Jacob. See his PG rankings. He's going to cut on that one and miss.
I think the other thing is, when you look at kids coming from Canada, as you would Mike, kids from the Northeast, they're going to be late bloomers a little bit because they haven't played nearly as much baseball as some of the kids in Florida, Texas, and California.
Ball's poked out into shallow right, and it will be caught and put away for the first out on a running grab from Trey Campos.
Excellent jump by Campos in the outfield right there. And again, watching the instincts of players. Where are you in time and space, and been able to make judgments and decisions. And good jump and route to the baseball.
One gone for Gabe Boyd. Boyd didn't get cheated on his first swing up there hacking. Well, Memphis, Tennessee native.
I would say at a showcase event, don't ever get cheated.
Appenzeller got a strikeout, a flyout, and a ground out in that first.
Okay, good idea right there. 0-2, trying to go with the high fastball. Just overthrew it a little bit. Front shoulder flew open and left it arm side, but good thought of going up in the zone.
Interesting back knee there from Boyd. He kind of leans into that crouch just a bit, and he is a big kid. Stands close to that inside portion of the box.
It's a lot of weight, though, on the back foot,
yeah, it is.
Right? And when you want to have that weight transfer, you don't want to have to push off to where you have too much going forward, but you also don't just want to sit and spin on that back leg.
Good pitch. At the knees, inside corner for strike three from Appenzeller, who's picked up a couple of strikeouts now through an inning and 2/3.
Yeah, he's really showing well right now. I mean, he is a good-looking young pitcher. Smooth, easy delivery. Ball comes out of his hand easy. And, 92 miles per hour, locating his fastball, feel for the breaking pitch. feel for pitching, right? The pitchability of knowing what he wants to do.
And Easton Massie, next man in. He was a hockey player for a period of time.
Always like those multiple sport athletes, you know, and looking at them for potential draft picks. The idea of playing other sports and the values and character that come from every sport that's out there, right? There's a level of toughness that comes with being a hockey player, being a football player. I always love that in my baseball players.
Got a Connecticut kid for you here from Manchester. BC commit. Said he can't wait for his senior hockey season. So this is a kid who's continuing, not just starting and playing 2 sports and then eventually getting into just one. He's going to continue forward.
Wonder if he'll play hockey at BC as well.
Thought it was fascinating. He said he's been a catcher since Little League, and he can't imagine playing another position. He said it's the hockey player in him that comes out in baseball.
Oh, no question. If you're a hockey player, you're going to be a catcher too, right? I mean, it's just no question about that. Now, it looks like he's got all of his teeth right now so far too, so that's good news.
It's fantastic news. Put a runner aboard at first, and now Massie should see only fastballs. That's the best part of these situations where you can hone in on one pitch. Want to see these guys swing it, not necessarily take their bases.
And I like the idea of a pitcher where the hitter knows I'm coming at you with a fastball. What are you going to do? Now he's 2-0 right here, or 2-1, I guess it is, and see whether or not he can come and locate that pitch.
Pick drive back at first. That was close but safe.
Love that. The showcase event, you're a catcher. You got to separate yourself from everybody else and being able to throw behind the runner, right? A pitch coming away a little bit, it kind of takes in that direction. I like that aggressiveness. And maybe if it's caught a little bit differently at first base, it might have a better shot.
I thought so too. Kilby able to get back in. He's running here, and that one fouled back. As Massie continues to soldier on in this sequence against Appenzeller, who wants to finish strong. Certainly he's had 2 good innings. Just needs to get one more out to finish off his 2 frames. Working from the far third base side of the rubber. There's another one that's popped up that'll be back and out of play in the seats.
You know, Massie has that open stance, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to make sure you get started early enough that when you pick up that foot for the leg kick that you can get it down in time to be able to launch your swing. You don't want to be trying to react too quickly. If you start too late, then you can't catch up to the fastball.
You know, it's funny, even in BP, we were watching that with a few guys as that one's fouled away. And if that's giving you a hard time or some fits to do that in BP, it's only going to be exponentially more difficult in games.
Absolutely. And look, I think for many of them, the stadium itself could be overwhelming. Just
Sure.
the depth perception is so much different than what they're used to that could affect that timing in batting practice.
I think we're going to put another ghost runner aboard.
Yep.
I don't think Appenzeller's only throwing fastballs, but nonetheless, he's supposed to. And Massie now will bat with a couple of guys on base and 2 outs in the second.
Has had a chance to see a lot of pitches right now, and certainly the advantage goes to the hitter.
That was one back to our right now to play again. Here they took out a few of our staff members over in the writers area here at Chase Field. That one's tagged to center field and hit well. Back towards the warning track. How about a leaping grab that is made to end the inning? Troy Ford able to track that one down to help out Appenzeller to end the frame. He got a bad break earlier, a good break there.
He did. Tough play, the one right at you. Ran it down. Nice catch.
Go to the bottom of the second. Couple of innings for Appenzeller. Felt like, Steve, there were a lot of things to watch with this left-hander. Okay, I thought, all right. Go to the bottom of the second inning. Pitching usually a little bit ahead of hitting in some of these showcases. Hoyt gave up the double in the first, but now in his second inning of work. William Johnson is scheduled to lead things off.
Another left-handed hitter against him here.
That's right.
He's got to be loving this.
All-region linebackers, William Johnson, and he wastes little time. Sprays one to left for a base hit. So good contact and a single against Hoyt on the first pitch in the bottom of the second inning.
A good piece of hitting. Got a fastball up in the zone and, didn't swing underneath. They were able to elevate and level off to that high fastball. Good piece of hitting. Didn't try to do too much on it. Well done.
It's interesting in his questionnaire, he said he's been working on shortening his load and his path to the baseball, and it seemed like a pretty efficient path.
I mean, whatever he's been working on, he did it right there.
Maddox Mansour next in. Maddox ran a 6.44 460 earlier today. A Georgia native, a Texas commit, and of course they've had a high-profile coaching change here in the last week. So some of these young men have been committed for a while, and been some late coaching changes at some big jobs that might throw a little bit of that into whack or the unknown territory.
It looks like Hoyt cut that fastball a little bit. Hand got outside of it some, ran in on the hands of the right-hander. Don't know if that was purposeful or not.
Hoyt was telling us about his changeup, and I'll advance to that as fast as I can.
He's not using the changeup.
He is not.
No.
I'm curious, second time through, now that he's getting a few righties. That one is blasted to left. It'll be taken on a bounce. So a couple of good swings from Johnson. Now Monsur. And Quinn Carson has been busy in left. I thought maybe off the bat that was a ball that was going to be caught, but he took it on the clean bounce off the carpet instead.
Well struck, though, for sure. You talk about exit velocity, 100 miles per hour on that one, and nice line drive. And so, again, the changeup for Hoyt would be an effective pitch against the right-handed hitter. Lefty on lefty, they don't tend to use it. But now he could really utilize that and get this right-handed hitters off of the fastball.
Good point. Enzo Infelice, the batter, and that one's in. Hoyt said his changeup has grown the most. He never used to throw it because he wasn't the most confident in that pitch, but towards the end of his high school season had to use it more. Now, again, he's facing some righties, so we'll see. I know the thought process is for these young kids sometimes in these showcases. There's a ground ball to second, could be too easy take, and a flip to first for a double play. You don't want to get beat by your second or third best pitch at a showcase, but sometimes you need that to reinforce your first and second best pitches.
Yeah, I think that, and for many of these young men, in high school, they don't need the third pitch, right? If you throw, if you're left-handed throwing 94 and you've got something that spins, nobody's going to hit you oftentimes in high school. Now, the elite level, this is an opportunity to use it, but you also don't want to get beat on your third best pitch. And so, but that's part of the growth and development that kids want to have to use as they go.
This is Cameron Yilia. By the way, it was Owen Gregg who made that play at second base to get the DP and get a couple of outs on one ground ball. Yilia from Calvary Christian High School in Tampa, NC State commit.
I was watching Yilia at first base. He's got a little Sean Casey look to him in the batter's box.
I could see that.
Moving down at first base a little bit as well.
Another lefty-lefty matchup. That one kicks away, but not far enough away for the runner at third. Johnson to attempt to score.
And remember, in order to use that breaking ball, you've got to trust your catcher that you can bounce one in the dirt. He's going to be able to knock it down and keep it in front, not let that runner come in from third base.
Corbin Reynolds behind the plate. Setting up over that outside corner. Pitch came a little bit in. It's flared foul down the line in left and off the sidewall. Now to play.
It's not yet we teach them to throw it into the stands, right? Not yet.
Soon.
Yeah.
Again, Hoyt trying to cruise through his second inning. even though he gave up 2 sharp singles to begin things, the double play helped out Matters. And now the count 2-2 to Yilia. And the next pitch floats a little bit down and out.
Well, that's a good pitch, really, and a great take too from both guys. I mean, that's right where you want to throw it. Make the hitter make a decision, and what a great decision to lay off of that for Yilia.
Working from the far third base side of the rubber. Here's the payoff, and that is upstairs, which should be ball 4. So we'll throw a runner out at first.
Really good at bat right there. That's, I tell you, left on left. He got the fastball in, fought it off. He took the breaking ball away just off the plate. Excellent at bat.
Now let's see if he can take advantage. It's close at first. I mean, you wouldn't blame these hitters. We talk about being a little bit overwhelmed if you were jumpy early on in this showcase.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, a Major League Stadium like this, and, you know there's scouts here, and you really want to show.
They'll go ahead and let Ford take second base. Not concerned with him as much as they are Yilia, the batter.
Good decision by Quinn Carson at first to just eat that. Well, I guess it's Nick Diaz at first base to eat that one and not throw it.
That one's going to go to the backstop, and yet it might result in a traffic jam and a throw back to third. How about that play to end an inning? So Corbin Reynolds played the carom perfectly and gets an assist.
Almost like they designed it that way, right? Whatever it takes to be able to get the out, and they get it right there.
Smiles for everybody. Let's watch this one again. Actually, this was the double play earlier in the inning by Greg, able to step on second base. That was a big portion of this frame for Hoyt. And then his showcase ends on that bizarre play at third base. 3-2. New pitcher, another left-hander, Ian Lenus, Middleton, Idaho native. He is a University of Utah commit, plays for the Dallas Tigers organization. We'll tell you more about him as well from a self-scouting report. It says he throws in the low 90s, 4 pitches that he can locate around the zone for strikes. It says he's usually able to get ahead in the count early in attack. And likes to be able to read hitters' swings and find their weaknesses. So that sounds like an advanced thought process for a 17-year-old.
Certainly does. Plus good hair. He's got good hair working for him today. Got the serious lettuce going on, the good flow. How about that catch in center field, an inning ago? That was amazing, running down the one that Massie drove to center field, tracking it down out there to end the inning.
Yeah, Troy Ford had to cover a lot of ground, and the ball hit really almost directly towards him. Christopher Levi Gutierrez in to begin this third inning. A Floridian hits one softly to third, taken on a short hop, and that will be a quick out. Play was handled at third base by Kilby to retire Levi Gutierrez.
They started him off with a breaking ball, and he was right on it. So good timing there and being aggressive early in the count. But I like when a pitcher in a showcase event doesn't come out there and try to grunt the first pitch that he throws, right? Just throw something, get it over, spin the ball a little bit, get a feel for it.
This is Quinn Carson, another one of our Canadians out of Ontario. His goal over the next 12 months is to do everything he can to be part of the 2025 draft. So he has aspirations of not just playing pro ball, but quickly. Said swing mechanics is where his game has grown the most over the last year. Been trying to fix some holes. Previously in his swing, it's not been to the point where he was comfortable. Been in that cleanup process, and he takes a pretty good pitch rolling in there for strike one.
Well, that's what they all try to do. There's players at the major league level that still have some holes in their swing, and what you do is you don't swing at that pitch. You try to take it until you have to swing at it.
Ground ball to short. That's Strowman over there at shortstop. Everything he does comes with some fun to watch and witness his athleticism as he retires Carson for the second out.
Yeah, really athletic footwork right there. And I don't know whether he babied the throw a little bit on it. But, again, you know, it doesn't matter the score or the moment or anything. Everything is an opportunity to show your ability right there. He comes in, gets the ball, and it looks like he might have babied the throw a little bit as he bounces it over to first base. Air that thing out, young man.
I think it's good advice. You know, I think everything you do is being watched. I mean, you might think as a shortstop, we're watching the hitter, Jason Delmar, the pitcher. We're watching everything.
Yeah, because you're playing as a member of a team, but you're also showcasing your own individual talents and abilities, and you always want to take every opportunity to do it. I remember getting scouted out of high school in Detroit, Michigan, and a scout said to me, he said, you know, I'm going to hit some ground balls now. Don't be afraid to air one out on it. Don't worry about, you know, accuracy all the time. Throw one hard over there so I can see the arm strength with it. And he said, every time you go to an event where somebody's working you out, make sure that you get your I know you want to be accurate, but go ahead and let one fly sometime, just so we know what the arm strength looks like.
Yeah, we just see it. Jason Delmar at Fayetteville, Arkansas, part of a football state championship team. His football stadium is about 100 yards from my office there at Bud Walton Arena, but both a baseball and a football player.
And he looks just like a baseball and a football player. Absolutely.
Favorite player, Andrew McCutcheon for Jason Delmar.
Not an overpowering fastball by Lenus, but he can throw that breaking ball.
Working from that far first base side of the pitching rubber. Long pause before his pitch home. A little bit of a hitch in that delivery, and he spikes one, and our runner is going to be able to take off and advance. Levi Gutierrez.
You know, we saw it earlier with Hoyt getting caught up worrying about the runner with his head turned at second base. And even right here with Lenus, yeah, I think he got a little caught up in the runner on first trying to trick him in some way. And he ended up bouncing the fastball.
We saw that at the Junior National Showcase to the point of just we kind of lost it for a while because we kept saying, again, they're watching you as a pitcher face these hitters. Holding runners is a subplot to the storyline here and not an important one. Count holds 2-2 to Delmar. Starts with that open stance facing Lenus, and he will expand and chase and miss at 1 up and out of the zone. So Delmar down on strikes to end the inning. Should see Lenus for another frame. He's scheduled to work the 4th as well. No runs so far through 2.5 innings from the Perfect Game National Showcase. Austin Dean. There he is hitting. We're going to get to see him pitch from Alexandria, Virginia. How about 6'8", 235 pounds? And I told this story earlier, Steve. He has one guy that he really enjoyed kind of going back and watching from yesteryear. It was Randy Johnson, who made his mark in part throwing in this building on this mound. And maybe it's a little bit of a thrill for Dean to pitch here in Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But 6'8", 235 pounds. So with a guy this big, right, there's a lot of body and a lot of moving parts that you have to get it all in line. Like Tyler Glasnow is a guy you think about with the Pirates, who then, when he couldn't throw enough strikes with the Pirates, they trade him down to Tampa. And then he gets more athletic. He figures out his delivery. So the challenge for somebody this big is, how do I get that body moving in a way that I repeat my release point to throw enough strikes? Randy Johnson had that problem
for a long time
early until he didn't.
I mean, the Expos went through a lot of processes with Randy at that point. Yilia was batting last inning when we had the crazy play and what could have been a wild pitch, and then a runner erased back at third, so he gets to bat again against Austin Dean from Alexandria, Virginia. He is a Virginia Tech commit. He said Virginia Tech felt like home due to it being in his home state, and his brother attends the school. My son 5 minutes ago sent me a picture from Blacksburg. He's on a Happy League bus trip going to Pulaski, and they were in Blacksburg for lunch.
Love it.
There we go. And I think on the questionnaire, Dean mentioned to us about Randy Johnson just exactly what you said. He said persistence and mobility are the keys to success with a large body.
Yeah.
And he may not be done growing either at 6'8".
Right. I mean, he's still a young guy.
Yilia thought, I saw a zillion pitches from Hoyt last inning, and then I get to face this guy.
He's like, wait a minute. The first he gets a guy that's committed to Florida throwing 94, 95 from the left side. Then give me the 6'8" guy where it looks like it's coming out of right field, and I'm going to have to try to hit him.
That's no fun.
A couple tough at-bats right there.
That is not fun at all. Here's Daniel Pierce. Georgia native, Georgia commit is Pierce. Hard hit, and it was nearly flagged down at second base. That was a really good effort. Play wasn't made, though, by Luke Gallo. Just about came up with a Sports Center type effort.
Yeah, excellent effort, but good piece of hitting right here. Beautiful line drive stroke, kept his hands back, caught up to the fastball, stayed right with it. Hard shot up the middle right there. Excellent effort by Gallo to almost make the play.
It's one of these unique infields because it is turf, but it is dirt as well. You don't have the entirety of turf. Might not get the most natural spin at times off dirt just because it isn't carpet all the way around. Trey Meyers bats.
Well, a lot of these young hitters, they chase that high fastball, that higher than high fastball, up in the eyes a little bit. It looks so good, but it is so hard to get on top of and get a level swing on.
It just looks so good. That's a good pitch.
So we look at Dean on the mound. So he's not overpowering with his fastball, but the thing that's deceptive is his release point is so close to home plate because of how big he is that it actually gets on you faster than you think.
That extension?
Yeah, his extension out in front at 6'8", then getting out in front right there, even though he's throwing 88 miles per hour, it jumps on the hitter because, again, it's a shorter distance between the release from his hand to where it gets on you as a hitter. So they're not catching up to that high fastball.
We got 6'8" facing 6'6" in the box. What are they feeding these kids right now? Pretty good pitch for strike three over the inside corner. Big kid, big strike zone, and Meyers down looking from Dean. And I think as a hitter, that makes sense, Steve. You look up on the board, you see he's throwing 88, and you're stepping in the box thinking, that ball got on me quickly.
Yeah, and for Dean, he threw the high fastball, then he threw the little slider right off the same plane and broke it in for a strike. He does have pretty good command and coordination of that big body coming in there with his delivery.
Quinn Shambo, another Illinois native, Oklahoma State commit. from a family of Packer fans, even though he lives in Illinois. And Shambo takes one down and in.
Looks like he's got some football in him, too.
I was thinking the same thing.
Right.
What a big guy.
He's a big dude. He's built like a catcher. Now that pickoff move right there from Dean, where, you know, it's not where you step to first, but you step back and sort of flip it over there. That's a big-bodied guy to be able to get his arm and long arms to be able to make that accurate throw to first. A little bit dangerous for me.
Pierce runs. Pretty good throw down to second base. Not in time, however, to get Pierce.
Well, good jump by Pierce on that. I think he went first move on it. And you think to yourself, okay, he's not going to throw over. He did the little flip. So as soon as I see that front foot go, I'm going. And good jump. Quick release. But no real chance to get it.
Nope, from Cade Goldstein. The count 2-1 to Shambo. Took 3 different visits to Shambo. Went to Arkansas, went to TCU and Oklahoma State. Connected with Coach Holiday, whose nephew will be seeing action this week. Three balls and a strike. Next pitch. Finishing down and in, so we should put another runner aboard over at first. After what would have been a walk. Santana running at first, so now for Dean, who's scheduled to work a couple of innings right now, he's just trying to get through the third and keep these teams from having scored yet in this game.
Again, that big body guy when he missed arm side, so from a left-handed pitcher up and into where a left-handed batter would be, means that front shoulder's flying and his arms dragging behind, and it's mechanical is the issue.
Got a question, but I might save it for the next inning. High fly in the air, playable center, looking up into the rafters, and that catch will be made by Patrick to end the inning. So Dean able to navigate a hit and what would have been a walk. Nothing has come across yet. No runs through 3 in our contest between Columbia Blue and Black. To the 4th inning. Not a lot of offense, usually pitching a bit ahead of hitting some of these early innings of games, and Lenus going back to work. And we ask these guys what players or what athletes, what baseball players they enjoy following. And every year I get a handful of Trevor Bauers, and Lenus is one of those guys. Went back and watched his YouTube videos, kind of his body movements and the things he does and whatnot.
Speaks to the impact of social media, right?
No doubt about that at all. Nick Diaz leading things off this inning.
Tall, loose, lanky guy in Diaz. Is obviously a lot of room for projection with his body.
And this is the tough part for Diaz, who's a Georgia commit, but you're going to see a really thin, tall, right-handed hitter as a Georgia guy, and you're going to want to compare him to Charlie Condon.
Right, yeah, for sure. He went to down in Florida, Stoneham University, high school that Anthony Rizzo went to high school down there.
And so many talented players coming out of that school that we all know about for one reason or another. Diaz, though, his nickname's Flacco, so somebody has coined him from his thin frame a long time ago.
Nobody ever nicknamed me that, I will tell you.
But you were talking about Stoneman Douglas High School.
Right.
I mean, his goal right now is the drive for 5. They're trying to win next year their 5th straight state champion.
Wow. I think Jesus Lizardo went to that high school as well, if I'm not mistaken.
3-2 pitch. Sprayed down the line and right. Will that stay fair? It will not. It was fouled by a few feet.
Good piece of hitting, though. Stayed back on a breaking ball. Didn't try to do too much with it. I like it. And watching him get down the first baseline, he ran pretty well for a guy playing some first base.
His goal is to gain 20 pounds of muscle over the next year. So, I mean, he knows that he needs to get a little bit bigger and stronger, and it will come. And that's going to be at the bottom of the zone for a called third strike to Diaz.
Okay, now, he's going to be upset about that. And, you know, if I'm truly watching it, scouting, I'm thinking to myself, that pitch was outside. And look, not anything on the umpire. We're glad he's doing his great job behind the plate, but I wouldn't hold it against him. But the kid's going to feel bad about it, right? Diaz is going to feel bad about it.
And I think sometimes we see maybe a little bit wider zone in the showcase settings in some senses. So as a hitter, you might have some frustrating at bats.
You have to adjust. I think you have to understand, you know, be aggressive. Gallo up. He made a nice diving effort on that ground ball base hit by Pierce last half inning.
Massachusetts kid, a Xander Bogaerts fan. Said he spent a lot of time researching schools that he was interested in, and yet he found one in his home state at tremendous academic school in BC. In the air to right center. Fairly easy play for the second out.
Interesting. Massie also committed to Boston College. Right. So you got a couple of guys there playing together, getting to know each other a little bit before they go to school together at some point in the future.
William Johnson with the catch. I think from time to time we'll see guys kind of grouped together either from the same state or same region or those going to the same school. It makes it convenient enough for the coaching staff.
For sure, yeah.
Or for mom and dad that are traveling with maybe a kid plus, a +1. Someone else coming here as well with you as Goldstein bats.
Well, Lenus is throwing strikes and really comfortable, works quickly on the mound, and he's not trying to miss bats, right? He's not trying to get outs by, you know, nibbling off the corners. He's throwing it over the plate and working ahead. I'll come back with a breaking ball right here.
Goldstein, a Washington commit, Harvard Westlake High School product, big Mookie Betts guy. There in Southern California. One of those rare guys that's listed as both a shortstop and a catcher. Lenny is trying to go through 2 hitless and scoreless innings for a very efficient showcase performance. And that is indeed strike 3. Steve, that was 2 hitless and scoreless innings with 3 strikeouts. Pretty efficient, to say the least.
Yeah, well done. He located his fastball. Good, easy delivery. Nothing overpowering, but he could throw everything for a strike at any time of the count. And because you could throw the breaking ball over, they had to respect the fastball up in the zone. Got them to chase, and a lot of called strikes for him during the course of his work there. Keeping hitters off balance and maybe guessing a little bit with what he was throwing and where he was throwing it.
Well, we got to see Austin Dean pitch last inning. We're right up in his grill there, his kitchen, but got a couple of strikeouts. And Steve, it felt like maybe he was losing a little bit of that command before he got the flyout to end last inning. I'm curious, when you have a pitcher of that size, when you're deeper into your outing, 75, 80 pitches, and you're fatigued, does that create even more problems when it comes to mechanics?
Yeah, it's just a lot of big body, right? I mean, he really needs, if you think about big pitchers, core strength is so important to be able to maintain their balance and their delivery. And the more fatigued you get, the more you get off balance. And if you move even a little bit, that release point where your hand moves some, your command of your pitches goes away.
Ezra Essex leading off, a kid that ran a 6.39 60 earlier today. Oklahoma State commit. A year ago, he got hit by a pitch in the mouth and the jaw and broke his jaw, and he was able to bounce back and pick up some offers at the end of the year. So that is Chicago tough right there from Ezra Essex.
Wow, that is a tough one for sure. And but clearly an athlete who can really run. And we've seen how speed has impacted the game on both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively. Speed plays.
That ball driven in the air, down the line and left, into the corner, near the pole, into the bullpen and gone. Speed and now power from Essex. And our first run comes on a long ball in the fourth inning. 351
feet distance on that one, just over the left field wall down the line. 33.4 degree launch angle on that one. Now, this was an inside pitch that you have to pull your hands inside to be able to get the bat head to the ball. And you'll see him be able to pull his hands inside and drive it out of the ballpark. Good piece of hitting by the young man. And good for him. So how about that, showing off your speed with a 6.3 60 and then hitting one out as well.
Nice catch in the bullpen. I was getting ready to say, as Wick bats, that in his middle school he had a couple of track records, both in the 100-yard dash and the long jump. So you know there's some athleticism, and then you get to see him turn on a pitch and hit one out.
And he can trot as well. We've seen that.
That's the best part of running. Wick off the end of the bat, maybe still able to travel one out there to left field where the catch is made. It took a little bit of effort by Montanez, but he made the play for the first out.
Well, it sounded like he got it pretty well, but you're right. He got off the end of the bat a little bit and had some top spin on it. And I think tough to track that in left field, but still able to make the play.
Well, this is Troy Ford. We saw him have a long running catch attempt earlier in this game. Fayetteville, Georgia native, homeschooled, UAB commit. He's played basketball. He's run track. Basketball team won a championship in the past, and he has a couple of records on the 100 and 200 meters at his school. So you're talking about an all-around athlete here at Troy Ford.
I love when these all-around athletes want to play baseball. It's so good for the game.
You feel like maybe they bring a competitiveness into this sport that maybe others don't have by playing basketball or football?
Well, I think that if you're slow, then you better be big in basketball, right? And so, but if you're quick, it works for every sport. And we certainly see that with his athleticism.
But in the last couple of years, more than ever, we've reintroduced speed into our game.
For sure, absolutely. And you know, as the ball stays in the ballpark, outfield speed is critical to run it down. And certainly on the bases with the bigger bases and limitations on holding runners.
Pitch just a little bit low, 3-2. I love it. I mean, I think it's been great to watch.
We'd love to see Ford get on base himself and watch him try to steal a base, right?
So, yeah, we get selfish. We get greedy.
We do. I mean, there's one thing about speed, but is it functional to be able to steal a base too?
Did he offer? Quick appeal. They're going to say that's a swing. That's a strike. Not sure if I agree, but Troy Ford down on strikes. Dean will take it. Bouncing back from that home run to begin this inning.
You know, there are players who can run, but they don't necessarily have the ability to steal bases at a high rate. And it's, you know, it's instincts on first to be able to read a pitcher, to get a jump, to not have fear. There's so many different traits that go into being a good base stealer in addition to speed.
And again, with a 6'7" left-hander out there on the mound, it does pose an entirely different challenge if you're trying to run against him. Right now, Trey Campos trying to get on. Virginia Beach, Virginia product. James Madison commit. It's a little bit out. just one run so far through 4 innings. It was a home run by Essex to begin this inning. Into the bullpen and left. Pitching has been fun to watch to this point, and we're scheduled for 10 innings, so you'll see a lot of pitchers. I think everybody in this game scheduled to work 2, which is an extra challenge. I mean, if you get out there in that first inning, hey, you got to come back out and do it again. If that first inning doesn't go well, you get another opportunity. 3-1 to Campos. And that one is down and out.
Campos from the Virginia Beach area, and that Chesapeake area has some really good baseball there. In fact, there was a summer league
got a few guys out of there.
Summer league team a few years back that had Ryan Zimmerman, Brian Reynolds, David Wright, and DJ Upton. That was the infield on it.
Yeah, that's not fair, right?
That is amazing. Can you imagine that summer league team rolling into play?
Had you given me a multiple choice, I don't think I would have needed it with Wright and Upton and whatnot. And there's a runner taking off and swiping the base. But, yeah, that's stuff of legends.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about some quality major league careers out of that group of players.
I like to add up the total number of years because Zimmerman played for a long time. Wright did as well. Big, healthy wave and a miss by Campos.
So Maddox Mansour went in to be the runner after the walk, and he stole that base easily. Really easy speed. See if he doesn't have some thoughts of third base right here. There he goes.
Well, he ran a 6.4 460 earlier today, so that's a case where maybe track speed translated into baseball speed and just running speed by getting a good break.
Well, he did a good job on his break there, too. Stealing third, you steal third base off the pitcher, and that's getting a moving, sort of a running start, a moving lead and the pitcher's always taught to stop the runner, stare at him until he stops. See if they put on a pickoff play here. Keep an eye on him.
Will be an attempt of third base on the steal try, but it doesn't matter. A wave and a miss by Campos to end the inning. How about the swing, though, from Essex we saw earlier this frame?
Got a pitch inside and drove it out of the ballpark. Good piece of hitting by the young man. He can run, and he's got some power. Nice stroke.
I'm not sure if the next 4 innings are going to be fun or challenging, but we're going to see twin brothers throw. Sam Bettis on to pitch. Maxwell pitch a little bit further down the line today at Topeka, Kansas. Steve, they're both 6'7", 235 pounds.
Like literally both 6'7", 235 pounds. I don't know this, but my guess is they're identical twins. As both the same height, same weight. From the same area, going to the same college, you name it. And so it'll be a lot of fun. Sam and Max going at it.
I don't know what his parents do when it comes to buying clothing for these young men. I guess they could share the same shirts or whatnot, but that's a lot of clothing from two kids, 6'7", 235 pounds.
Forget the clothing. Can you imagine
the food?
These two guys?
Yeah. Yeah, not easy. Owen Gregg will lead off. Utah commit. This was the young man in Gregg, and we asked these guys, what are some things they want to work on, and we leave it open-ended over the next year because I think you get some fascinating answers. You get some really detailed baseball answers. That one shot out in the air to right field, starting to travel. It'll be caught. Owen Gregg wants to learn to speak a second language, so that's not your normal answer, but he flies out to right.
Well, I will tell you that I took French in school, and, like, I'm in baseball. How I didn't take Spanish, you know,
that's a loss.
Right? Yeah, it was a major loss on me. Now, the young Canadian players always want to find out if I can go say bonjour to them. Yeah, otherwise there's not many people I can talk to.
He said, I know it'll probably take more than 12 months. So I guess he's understanding. This is Manny Lantigua in there from the left side.
Well, a lot like we talked about Dean pitching. The same thing for Bettis. 6'7", a lot of big body there. Reminds me of Jamison Tyone a little bit with that physique.
I can see that.
Mound.
Antigua, Florida State commit. On the ground to first. Easy play. And there's 2 out. So a fly out to right and a ground ball to first. Here in this 5th inning against Sam Bettis, his first of 2 innings.
I like watching a play like that. See the pitcher get off the mound, get over to first base. How does he move on a play like that? So the ground ball to first, get over. You got to hustle over. What kind of angle are you taking? And he would have been there if he needed to.
Damian Montanez, next man in from Killeen, Texas. His travel ball coach is Adam Dunn, former Rucci Elite Texas. The Adam Dunn. That one's poked foul down the line and right.
So we know that he'll take a lot of pitches, and he'll walk a lot.
That's right.
Could swing and miss some, and he's got a chance to hit a lot of home runs. Because Adam Dunn, that was the name of his game back in the day. Also a college football quarterback.
That's right.
Back then.
How would you like to tackle him? Bouncing ball to second. Almost getting caught between steps and making up for it with the throw to first base to end the inning. So that took a little bit of effort, but the play was made by Tyler Wick. 1, 2, 3 and done here in the top of the 5th. New pitcher, another big guy, 6'4", 212 pounds, Ridge Sutherland out of Bryant, Arkansas. I see a lot of kids from Bryant, Arkansas, but this one's going to Oklahoma. That's where his commitment will take him.
Is that allowed?
It's discouraged.
It's discouraged. Yes. That's what I thought. Yeah, I was a little concerned about that. But another big boy out on the mound right there. And again, for all of these big pitchers, and I am just really overwhelmed by the size of these players.
It's amazing to me.
It really is amazing. You know, the difference. And you know, you think about in football at the college level, you know, everybody's big at everywhere you play. The difference is the speed of the players. But I got to tell you, like, they're making them bigger and bigger in baseball right now.
There's no doubt. And having watched a week of the Junior National Showcase, the class that'll be here next year, it's the same thing, if not more, coming up. You wonder the limits of the human body. Sometimes when we see pitchers throwing 102 or whatnot, you think how much more is possible from a size and strength standpoint at this age. I wonder the same thing.
Well, I will tell you that, you know, I think about Aaron Judge at 6'7", and, you know, his injury-prone nature at times, and Giancarlo Stanton, the injury that he's had. And, you know, I do worry that, you know, we want more of these big guys to play, but I don't know that baseball's built for the joints and the wear and tear and the kinetics of really big people in that way.
This is Jack Wheeler. He's going to begin things. He is an Illinois native, same hometown as Scott Spezio. Chris Bryant fan when Chris was with the Cubs. That was a different Chris Bryant then than now, but Wheeler also had 8 touchdown receptions this year. So this is a kid that is not just playing multiple sports, excelling.
Yeah, he looks like a wide receiver. He got a little Chris Bryant in his stance there, too, at the plate.
I would agree. .35 GPA, multiple sports, football all-conference, basketball all-conference, averages 20 points and 6 rebounds a game in basketball, had 8 touchdown receptions in football, and he lines that one to left, but no hit. It was hanging up long enough to be caught, so that's an intriguing athlete in Jack Wheeler.
Certainly is, and you know, he's got a little flinch at the plate, it looks like, in there, and so you got to pitch inside, he can get to it. The question is, can he stay on the ball and drive the one away?
William Patrick with the catch in left, and this is John Lopez Santana. Takes one to the outside corner for a called strike. All Santana did was run a 6.45 60 earlier today and then throw 91 from the outfield. The young man from Puerto Rico. A lot of Puerto Ricans in this quadrant of teams, this 4-team grouping.
A lot of great baseball players from the island of Puerto Rico. Orlando Cepeda just passing away, a Hall of Famer, and you know, certainly a guy that in Puerto Rico is beloved.
I was there at Cooperstown for his induction because he also went in with this incredible class of George Brett, Robin Yount, Nolan Ryan, and guys that were synonymous with their organizations.
Right. Wow, what a class.
Only time I've been, and I'm glad I went, just to see that spectacle. I grew up a George Brett fan in the Midwest, but I was working in the Brewers organization, so Robin goes in, and then, of course, working with the Astros and seeing Nolan Ryan, it was a special grouping. Lopez made up his mind late on that swing. Strikeout from Sutherland.
Fastball about 92 miles per hour right there. And what I do like is a big right-handed pitcher that's able to throw the ball down and away to the right-handed hitter, right? So that means he's keeping that front shoulder closed and getting extension out in front, really reaching out to that outside corner.
Hey, we're back to the top of the lineup here in the bottom of the 5th, and Jaden Strowman, who struck out back in the 1st. He's all tooled up, but now we'd like to see it in the game as he takes a strike.
So Sutherland's having a little bit more difficult time with it, getting that breaking ball spinning the way he wants. Got a sit fastball right here. Gonna go changeup. Good pitch.
Well, it was indeed. Sutherland handles the comebacker from Strowman. That's a quick inning. We'll see one more out of Sutherland scheduled to work in the 6th. This pitcher's not messing around here in the 5th, going right after these hitters. Showing off the full ability in just 3 hitters. More to come. Nicely done. Perfect Game TV is your home for amateur baseball. I want to encourage you to download the Perfect Game TV app today. Available on Roku, Fire TV, all the other opportunities to watch these young amateur players, both at events such as this, our content and shows and the showcases and the Select Fest coming up. Steve, it's a fun time of the year, baseball-wise, but certainly for these amateurs, and we've got you covered.
I tell you, I spent so much time watching Major League Baseball. I love watching amateur ball. The high school kids, we do a junior college tournament together.
What's the best part you enjoy about these young kids?
Just the passion of the love of the game. Like they're not. There's nobody spoiled by anything. They just love to play the game and enjoy going out there and showing off their skills and abilities. You
know who didn't love it right there? Our camera guy was standing behind the mound, and the throw went through to second base from our catcher. It went right by him. He's focusing into the pitcher, and that ball came right by him. I don't know if we've got that replay, but if we do, that might be a good one. That was coming right at his camera.
Workers' comp for that or something?
I don't know. It would delay us a lot, so I'm glad it missed him for many reasons as Corbin Reynolds bats to lead off the inning. Clarksville, Tennessee native, Vanderbilt commit.
Well, one of the questions you asked me, you got a 6'7" pitcher, can he throw strikes? And Sam Bettis is absolutely pounding the strike zone.
Gets an easy ground ball to third. That's a pretty good throw across the diamond for the out. Jack Wheeler at third base. There's the Illinois kid making the play at third. We told you he was a Chris Bryant guy. Well,
right there it is.
Playing at third base.
Here comes
Let's watch this. Watch this. Watch this reaction. It wasn't close as I thought, but there was a little bend in his knees when he realized that ball was coming at him. Grayson Burleson, the batter here.
I do like Bettis' willingness to start hitters off with the breaking ball. Coming out after sitting for an inning and coming out and the hitter's going to be gearing up on dead red, looking for that fastball. And just throw a get-me-over slider. Get strike one and start working ahead in the count.
Do you think it's different than his high school competition facing these hitters where he's more willing? Yeah,
I think it's much different.
I do too.
You go out there against some of these high school kids, you're 6'7", and, many of the kids are going to be 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", and you're just going to rear back and throw it by them.
You want to announce your presence with authority against those high school kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Burleson plays for R.A. Dickey and the Mad Mavericks for his travel team.
I'm sure all those kids are probably really good at hitting knuckleballs.
I bet they are. But
right?
They're fantastic.
Do you think if R.A. Dickey's throwing batting practice, do you think he's throwing knuckleballs at them, or do you think he's throwing just regular fastballs?
No, you got to mix it up. The kids want to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And he threw a hard one. His knuckleball, he threw it hard.
He did.
Yeah.
.65 Burleson is going to deposit one into left center field for a base hit. And the black team is on the board. There was even a Bronx cheer coming out of their dugout because that's their first hit.
Yep, got their first hit. Good piece of hitting. Got off the end of the bat a little bit, but stayed on the breaking ball and able to punch it into left field.
When was the last time you saw the 18th place hitter in the lineup breaking up? And
an excellent point right here. But now we get to see Bettis out of the stretch. Big body. Out of the stretch right now. How can he get all of those body parts moving and in sync, and how does he hold the runner?
Very compact delivery, and that's a pretty good throw down to second base. Close and out. That's Marshan behind the plate, and he just erased Burleson.
Bettis went with a slide step home, so he didn't take a big stride. Where we saw Dean with the big leg kick earlier on the other side, from the left side. He went slide step to the plate, which gave the catcher, Marshan, a lot of opportunity to make the throw.
Bettis kind of short-arm it just a bit coming out of that delivery.
Seemed like he did.
William Patrick went down on strikes his only time in. A lot to like about this young man, however, from a skills standpoint for Patrick. LSU commit. Ground ball to short. A little bit of a bobble, but the play is made. So the black team gets their first hit, yet Bettis faces only 3 batters, so he faced 6 batters in 2 scoreless innings. And now we'll get to see his twin brother, pitch the next 2. So it'll be Bettis heavy here in the middle innings of Game 1 from the National Showcase.
Throws him out on the play there. Good quick release, good pop time. And on the slide, his foot kind of came up a little bit, and they got him on the toe.
Sutherland back out for a second inning of work. He got a liner to left, and he went strikeout. Soft comebacker against a good hitter in Strowman. And exciting to see him in a second inning. And finally, we're cycling through this Columbia Blue lineup for the second time. Batting 17, 18 hitters. Takes a while to get to your second at bat. Part of the uniqueness of a showcase. The top talent of next year's draft class. And, you know, the fun part, Steve, is we're talking about a lot of guys. And for some, the scouts, they have followed individual players a long time. For others, we're introducing them to you. But there's a number of kids in this event this week that we'll be talking about drafted in the first couple of rounds next year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Marshan getting out of the way of the fastball there. And, you know, how many times do you see a guy make a nice defensive play, throwing out a runner? Now he gets to lead off the next inning.
He's already had a double in this game, so a chance to continue on. Chopper to short. That was a big kangaroo bounce, but the play was made for the first out of the inning. Gabe Boyd over at short had to play that big bounce.
Marshan reminds me of Sean Murphy a little bit. Big-bodied guy and can swing the bat. Two-way catcher. Catch and throw and an offensive player.
This is Fski. I think for me, whether it's yourself or David Ronsley or others that are up here in the booth, you know, with all of your decades of baseball experience, we're going to start having comps, whether it's playing-wise, body type-wise. Everybody always kind of reminds us of somebody else.
That's right. They do. They really do. I mean, I remember back when I first signed to play minor league baseball, I was with the Mets, and we were playing the Atlanta Braves minor league system, and all their outfielders looked like Dale Murphy. They had all these big, tall guys. They all looked like Dale Murphy.
That was in vogue at that time, I guess.
And then the Mets, you know, drafted a bunch of pitchers that looked like Dwight Gooden. Tall, loose, lanky body type guys. And, you know, you tend to go with what works.
Pitch floats outside.
But remember, it's not a body type that makes it, right? It's all the other things that go into it. It's, you know, it's not just that body. It's how do you use it? Can you get everything working in sync? What's in your heart? What's in your head?
That's why this game is so unpredictable.
Well, that's the stuff that you can't see when somebody's running a 60-yard dash or they're taking batting practice. What's in their head and what's in their heart, right? That's the character and the skills and the baseball IQ. That's what you figure out when you watch guys play games. And the more games you see, the better you get a feel for guys. Because I remember when Dustin Pedroia first got up to the major leagues with the Boston Red Sox, Terry Francona's like, I don't know, they tell me this guy can play. And the next thing you know, he's Rookie of the Year and MVP after that.
It's on the ground into center, a base hit. So Fski, who struck out earlier, gets a single here in the 6th inning. I think the fun part for me, obviously we're in Phoenix, we're indoors. When you go to East Cobb and it's smoking hot there and you're playing multiple games in a day and whatnot, you know, what type of bounce does the kid have? Is he still excited to be there and having a good time? Does he want to be there?
Well, I tell you, I mean, I had one of the scouts say to me, be the first one on the field and the first one off the field. right? When the inning ends, run out to your position. Make every throw when you're warming up between innings like it's a throw that you're throwing hard to get a runner at first base.
Because someone somewhere is watching.
Every time, they're never not. It doesn't matter if you're losing 12-1 or you're winning 12-1. Every single play is being evaluated, and that's even at the minor league level. It's even in college baseball.
Runners going. Kilby the batter. That's another pretty good throw, but not in time. Fski gets the stolen base. Our catchers, I tell you what, for the most part, have done a pretty good job. That's Easton Massie behind the plate.
I think Ezra Essex pinch ran for Fski right there. And he could run. That was because that was an outstanding pitch and an outstanding pop time from behind the plate.
Kilby fouls another one back and out of play.
Watch if Sutherland can get Essex to stop. Right, he gets that. You got to make the runner at second base stop his movement toward third in order to keep him from stealing third base. If he goes flat-footed, you got a good chance to throw him out.
1-2 the count to Kilby. And that breaking ball rolls in. Kilby's a 4.0 student, nearly 1,200 in his SAT, top 5% of his class. He's taken 10 AP classes, National Honor Society, Key Club, Governor's Honors nominee, Cougar Connections, Special Olympics volunteer, Kids Give Back Community Service Award. I'm going to stop because the game's interrupting the Kilby resume, and that one goes to the backstop. I mean, he's putting forth an incredible resume at 17 years old.
You know, and again, that's the kind of young guy you want your organization, because you know he's going to represent you well everywhere he goes, right? He's going to be a professional. He cares. He cares. He's a good citizen. He cares about the community.
Our infield's creeping in with a runner at third base, and the count 3-2 to Kilby. On the ground, into left base hit. The infielders crept in. That one finds left field for an RBI single. And Columbia Blue gets his second run of the game.
Good piece of hitting, like Fski, not trying to do too much. Gets a pitch that he goes the other way with, and with the infield in, cutting, taking away some of the angles, able to get a base hit out of that.
This is William Cole Johnson.
All these left-handed hitters that had to face the left-handed pitching the first time through, now getting a look at a right-hander on the mound. Much more comfortable at bats.
You gotta be. Pitch a little bit outside at 92 to Johnson. Cole is a Georgia Tech commit. Looks at a strike. He's not playing baseball. He's a dove hunter in Georgia. He stands close to that inside line in that box. His hands are almost over the inside corner. And that's why it's hard to keep that bat out of the zone maybe sometimes.
Yeah, right. Check swing. Yeah, check swing, and the bat catches the ball right there. A dove hunter. I stopped paying attention after that. He's a dove hunter.
I did too, and that's why I read it off. I said, a lot of interesting.
We don't do that in Connecticut, I don't think.
We had a couple of kids who want to kill a deer with a bow in their bios, and I thought, well, that's a new one. But dove hunting, that's another new one on me as well. Maybe not so much in Georgia. Changeup just kind of floated there from Sutherland.
I do like that he's trying to throw that change up against a left-handed hitter. Having something other than the fastball.
Johnson says he rarely swings and misses at pitches, and he just blistered one on the ground into right center field. Going to third base will be Kilby, and the ball kicks away. Johnson has his second hit, and that looked like maybe a chance for a play to be made at second base. It was just torched off his bat.
Yeah, well struck, and that's his second hit of the day. He's hit the ball hard twice. Line drives. First time up, got a fastball up and went up and lined it. And that just squeaks right by second base. The throw from right field, though, what an arm. That is some arm strength right there.
That's Delmar.
Yeah, good arm strength.
And this is Maddox Mansour, who also singled back in the second inning. So a chance to get his second base hit out of the way. Sutherland faced just 3 batters in the 5th and cruised, and he got a quick round out here in the 6th, but he's given up 3 singles since. 1 was with the infield in. I probably would have said, hey, guys, just back up. I'll take my out. I'm not trying to win a game here in the showcase. I'd like an out.
Right.
This is the 5th batter. I don't even know if we've had an inning where 5 have batted. So usually that's where we cap it. We'll find out one way or another.
Doesn't look like anybody's in the on-deck circle, so probably so.
Pitch way in to Monsour, 3-1. In the 6th inning of what is scheduled to be a 10-inning game with 1 more game to follow. Getting hit on a 3-ball count.
On a breaking ball. Interesting, too, right? It's telling you right now that Sutherland doesn't have much of a feel for where his fastball is going. So trying to throw the 3-1 slider right there.
And now he's going to have no choice but to throw fastballs with a ghost runner aboard and the bases loaded. So you still need to get through this batter, but this is where it becomes kind of a battle of wills. Nothing worse getting to the end of your showcase and then fighting your command.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, you know, because for all of these young guys, they want to leave with some good feel about it, right? A good taste in your mouth. But just go out there and just keep competing.
Base is full of Columbia Blue players. Big wave and a miss. So, of course, you might get a pickoff at first or close, but not in time. And our catcher's not bashful about trying to do some damage, including Easton Massie.
I tell you, I thought he was going to get him right there. I mean, quick feet behind the plate, right? So Austin Massie, BC commit. We saw him battle at the plate, and this is some quick feet. He made a nice throw, throwing out a runner earlier.
It's real close.
He just got back in. I think it looks like Diaz went for the tag up at the chest. If he had gone to the bag with it, I think he might have been able to get his hand coming in.
Good coaching point. 2-2 to Monsur. Hard hit up the middle, base hit in the center. This is going to score a pair of runs. The throw goes to third, and it's not in time. And Monsur has his 2nd hit of the showcase, knocks in a couple of runs, part of a 3-run inning for Columbia Blue, and that will end it. So a 5-batter inning ends it for Sutherland and the black team, but nice swing.
Good piece of hitting, goes right back up the middle, doesn't try to do too much, and pretty good showcase so far from Monsur. A couple of hits, did steal a base earlier coming in to run, and understanding got the whole middle of the field wide open, take advantage of it right there. Good base running by everybody too. 1st to 3rd there, and Monsur ends up on 2nd.
We just saw Sam Bettis pitch a couple of innings. How about seeing Max again from the P27 Academy, Topeka, Kansas, 6'7", 235 pounds. I got a daughter going to Topeka in the fall to play some Division II softball. I'm not sure there's going to be any food left in Topeka to feed her or anybody else with the Bettis boys doing their damage.
Now, are we sure that this is a different person? Because he looks an awful lot like the last guy. I mean, they are spitting images, identical twins. I mean, that is pretty crazy right there. And both 6'7", 235, and same presence on the mound. And we'll see what the quality of stuff looks like for the two of them. Oh, that is a nasty little breaking ball right there. My goodness, that's a nice looking slider.
You know, his brother had kind of what I consider maybe a little bit of a short arm. In other words, there's not a big arm. Well, that was a little different arm swing right there. But, you know, they look a lot like, not just facially, but maybe mechanically.
Yeah, well, for sure. Right. I mean, think. I mean, same body frame and everything. So it all sort of works in sync with one another. And, listen, Mom and Dad must have been going to a lot of ball games along the way. Hopefully they played on the same team all the time.
I hope so.
You know, that makes it really tough.
You know, in the travel ball tournaments where guys are limited to a certain number of pitches and innings, and then you have to go sit because you don't want to overuse guys. And, you know, you could manipulate that a little bit with these two guys. They could switch their jerseys.
Look at it. Look at you. I like it.
No one would be the wiser.
Nope.
Trevor Gotan will bat here in the 7th inning. Gotan from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Colorado against Kansas going at it here. And I think, in part, it's why I love the National Showcase. We talk about so many kids from Florida and Georgia and Texas and California. Chop it to third. Play is going to be made. Nice effort at third base by Jack Wheeler again to retire Gotan. But, I mean, we're seeing kids from Idaho. We're seeing them from Puerto Rico and from the Northeast and from Kansas. It just shows you there's talent all across this country, regardless of some of the hot spots.
Absolutely. And we have kids from Canada here playing as well. And so, and you know, and the way it works is if you can play and you're good enough, they're going to find you.
Here's Thomas Okono. Bounce to second, his only time in. O'Connell, a Mookie Betts guy. Might have something to do with that 5'10" stature.
Interesting, though. A catcher, a left-hand hitting catcher is a Mookie Betts guy.
Isn't it? I mean, maybe Mookie, everybody loves Mookie. I don't know. Three another count. Chose Virginia because of the amazing coaching staff and committed early in his freshman year.
Wow.
They verbally offered, and he took it on the spot without hesitation. So he was an easy sell. He said he was in.
How the freshman year, will they watch you when you were in 8th grade to be able to know that they want to offer you when you're in your freshman year?
So the funny part is now that they've changed the rules, you know, you have to be going into your junior year. So these kids have committed before the rules took place.
That's really amazing.
You know, and there's some reason for doing that now. I mean, you want these kids to be a little bit older. And a couple of those that committed early were the Parker brothers. And as I was reading their bios, I was thinking, well, that was interesting. Mississippi State committed them both when they were young, and I think combined they hit like 8 home runs and 20 swings in batting practice today.
Really?
And I'm like, well, okay, I know why you might.
I get it now, right?
I get why you'd want to beat the rules and get those kids in. There's a bouncing ball to right past the vacated hole, and we're going to have runners at first and third on the single from Okono. Our ghost runner hustling all the way to third base.
Now, does he get credit for a run scored with the runner on third if it's his walk that ends up coming around?
He can almost knock it himself.
But you know, listen, you earn the walk. You know that they're holding the runner on first. You got the hole over there, and the left-handed hitter taking advantage of that. So good piece of hitting.
And it brings up Jordan Jacob, who flew out to right, his only time in. Told you a little bit about Jacob earlier, 74th in his class. Hit a home run in BP earlier today, the Pitt commit. Another one lifted to right. Might have a chance for a play at the plate here. The catch is going to be made. Here comes the runner down the line. The throw's in the air. It's not in time. The throw goes to second, but ends up in center, and the wheels are all in motion now. If we have an overthrow at third base, we would have overthrown every base, but...
Is that overthrowing for the cycle?
It was close. It was close.
I'll tell you what, though. What an arm from right field. That is a well above average arm right here. So
that's Ford again, who we were talking about playing center earlier.
You know, good piece of hitting. Get the runner in from third. Now, shallow throw, tough one for a right-handed thrower. Moving toward the line, having to turn his body, but that is some arm strength right there. And then obviously the throw tailing a little bit into center field.
Gabe Boyd watches one come front door and miss. And of all that, it was also the first run for the black team that didn't even have a hit until there was one out in the 6th inning. Speaking of getting hit, Boyd wore that one. I have 740 pages of bios, and I would say congratulations to Gabe Boyd. He was the very first of all of them. He got it in before everybody else. Batting with runners on the corners and one out here against Bettis. Bettis has come down and into these right-handed.
Well, he can't seem to command anything away from his arm side, right? So that means his front shoulder's flying open and his arm's dragging behind a little bit. He's got to really focus on extending out in front with that pitching hand.
You know, it makes sense, I guess. You know, you're talking about that lag and whatnot just to get through that baseball a little more.
To get to the outer part of the plate to a right-handed hitter. So a right-handed pitcher going away from a right-handed hitter, you really have to have that extension out in front to get out there to reach for that outside corner. If your front shoulder's flying open, your arm's dragging behind, you just can't get the arm to catch up.
Well explained, the 2-1 pitch. Little tapper in front of the plate. We're going to have a flip to first base. Catcher got ready to get out there and make that play before that ball bounced again. Handled it to end the inning. So Okono. And that will end the frame. The black team gets their first run as we stretch them out here from the National Showcase. Here we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, 4-1 Columbia Blue in front of black and ready to move on to a new pitcher, Keegan Russell, which should be the first of a couple of innings, and I feel like I'm a broken record, but 6'6", 235 pounds for Keegan Russell and another Canadian.
Yeah, big young man right here. Probably too big to be a hockey player, so had to find something else to do. And found throwing a baseball. And so, again, you know, a lot of these big-body young high school kids, it's about having enough reps to get your command, to lock in on that release point. He's got a little lower three-quarter delivery, you know, not so much over the top, a little low three-quarters, so should have some excellent movement on his pitches with where his release point is.
His self-scouting report says huge frame and strong right-hander who attacks hitters early in counts. Fastball's heavy, constantly misses barrels, spins a slurve well and constantly lands it in for strikes. Changeup is downward action and helps for getting hitters out in front. So that's what he says. We'll find out as he's going to work in this inning and the 8th for the black team. Enzo Infelice bounced to second his only time in. Enzo was fun to watch in batting practice today because he got your attention, and he was stepping in with the thought he was going to do some damage. He hit one ball 105 off his bat. And again, this is a 17-year-old swinging wood, and you see a number pop up like that, even if it's isolated, it
absolutely
it jumps out. Yeah.
You know, one of the things I did see during batting practice is we're able to get some hit data. So you get the exit velocity, but you also get to see the launch angles and the number of 60-degree launch angles I was seeing. I saw an 80-degree launch angle.
Is that right?
That's kids trying to hit home runs.
It is.
Right? And that's what everybody's trying to do, to show the scouts, right, their power, or to say that they hit one out in a major league ballpark. And in many ways, it sort of messes up their swing a little bit because it's not their natural swing, where if they just take the normal swing and get some backspin on the baseball, they probably still have a chance to hit it out of the park.
Another one popped up back in our direction. It's like the big leaguer going into the home run derby, and he's got one thing on his mind,
right.
And for the next 2 weeks, he can't get back on track.
Exactly. So, I mean, to understand, the average launch angle for a major league hitter is 12.2 degrees, right? They were swinging to 60 and 70 degrees in batting practice, uppercutting.
That's going to be strike 3, so that's a good beginning for a couple of innings for Keegan Russell. Cameron Yilia, next man in. He was the guy who was at the plate when his teammate was erased back at third base, had to come on the next inning and then face a tough lefty in Dean to resume or get a new at-bat. And now he's getting a right-hander in this sequence, so maybe it evens out. I'm not sure.
I was saying he reminds me so much of Sean Casey, sort of the round shoulders in there. Not so much his stance, but just the way he moves around the box. Sean Casey, obviously a tremendous long-time major league career, batting champion.
The mayor.
Yes.
High pop-up, third base side, and it will find its way over the dugout out of play. Yilia from Calvary Christian High School there in Tampa. Roy Halladay, I think, was part of that program for a few years, helping out. And an NC State commit is Cam. The guy who sold him on going to the program was Tommy White. Of course, Tommy tanks and then went on to LSU and won a national championship. Could be a first-round pick this year. He's a Bryce Harper fan. Put a runner over at first, and we always seem to put the fast runners.
Yeah, how is that? The blue team coaching staff, well done.
Usually that's Ford, one of those. Speed guys like to show off their speed. You know, when you get a fast car, you like to drive it fast.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think it's Ezra Essex who hit the home run earlier. I think that's him at first.
Well, that pitch got a piece of Yilia, so he just couldn't get out of the way. That looked or sounded like a double thud.
Yeah, that was right on the kneecap, I think, where he got hit. Put some dirt on it. Rub some dirt on it. Here comes the pitch. Oh,
hey.
Yeah, that's going to leave a mark.
There's just no padding there.
No. That base was going to be easily stolen as well, and I suspect we're going to see third base stolen right here, right now.
Yilia stays in, and the pitch from Russell on the ground to first. Could we get a double play? There's an out at first, and the ball's dropped by Russell at first base. He was trying to get over there, find the pillow, and take the throw to help himself out. Would have been a case of a 2-batter, 3-out inning, which is your uncommon showcase situation.
Would have been interesting. Now, and again, well played. Nice turn right there. Turning your body to catch it. Diaz, strong throw to second base. And the tough thing for Russell is, you're 6'5", and have to be on the move to touch first base and catch the ball on the run.
That's a lot.
It's very difficult, right? It's a tough thing for a big guy like that.
Daniel Pierce singled and then swiped to base way back in the third inning, batting again. He's going to drive a ball the other way to right. This ball's back into the corner, and it's going to take a bounce. I think it hit the foul pole, but they say it's in play. Don't look now. Pierce is going to round third base. Here comes Pierce. He's going to try to score. The throw home. He went in standing, and he is safe. How about an inside the park home run? Going in standing, a tumble at the dish. I thought for sure that ball bounced and then hit the foul pole and kicked back in. But when it wasn't called a double, he just kept running.
He kept on going, and an excellent effort out in right field to try to go for it as that ball kept tailing away. It kicks away, and he just hustled around the bases. Really good. The guys that scored or end deck, you got to tell them to get down and slide on that play, right? That's a potential real bad injury that could happen right there. So, again, that's something that no matter what league you're playing in, you've got to tell the base runner, if you've already scored, what to do on the play.
And that ball did hit the pole on the bounce.
Yes,
so it should have been out of play at that point. But that wasn't your normal day at work scenario with Pierce getting the inside the park home run and nearly got flipped into the on-deck circle.
Tell you what, he can run, though. That's a great stride right there. Excellent stride.
I knew Montanez was going to be in for a long run, and when he tried to make that sliding stop and couldn't get it, and then the ball kicks back away from the foul pole and more towards right center. It was going to be a great chance to circle him, and he did.
You know, Russell has a lot to work with. Big, strong-bodied guy. He's a bit of a thrower instead of a pitcher right now, right? And that's just growing up in reps and getting more opportunity.
Trey Meyers will wave and miss. 3-2.
Well, you got to swings and misses on your fastball when it's around the plate. You've got a lively fastball, but he just got to command it all a little bit better.
Working with tempo now, and he'll like how that inning finished more than it began. He gets the wave and a miss on Meyers, so he does start it in with a strikeout. The 3-run inside the park home run was an interesting aspect of the showcase. It's a 7-1 game as we go to the 8th inning. This was the swing from Pierce. Took a bounce on the warning track, kicked up around the yellow line, and then he kept running. And this was quite the mini collision at the plate. Seven-1 our score as we get to the top of the 8th inning here for the National Showcase. So many college commitments throughout this event, and here's the schools that lead the way. Just Texas and LSU, a couple of the Blue Bloods, Steve, to combine have 29 players.
Wow, that is really something. And we're talking, that tells you the elite level of talent here at this event right now.
I'm noticing a theme, too, as far as conferences goes, minus maybe just a couple. I mean, it's SEC heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, where's the Big Ten representation there?
Where are the Hawkeyes? Easton Massie going to lead off this inning. Bettis back to work. Did the second inning for Max Bettis after Sam Bettis went 2. So it was Jerome Bettis who was the bust.
Yes.
We're seeing a couple of coaches here. You know,
yes. There's no question.
Semi-trucks, some sort for these two Bettises. What it felt like Max was struggling with was that you mentioned that extension and maybe that fastball command. So now he can reset a bit as he comes back out. See if that might make a difference. And Massie takes one outside.
Well, the other difficulty he's having is getting his breaking ball over. So if you're a hitter and you got to just zero in on the fastball, and especially when you're ahead in the count, right? Look for that fastball, see if you can drive it, and take the breaking pitch until you have 2 strikes.
Leave it a miss by Massie. Goes to Westminster Prep School. It's a boarding school. He said it's tough academically. Preparing him for BC. He said, I look at school as a challenge for my brain to improve. Much like athletically, it's a challenge for my body and my mind. So the kid seems to have his head on straight. Put a runner aboard at first. What should have been a walk to Easton Massie.
So we saw Sam Bettis, the brother, pitch first, the identical twin brother. Max have a little more difficulty commanding his pitches, right? Getting that release point locked in.
It's going to be a swing and a miss. The ball just popped out of the glove, but it was not foul tipped at all. Fski didn't handle it, but that is a K for the first out of the inning. Pitch had some arm side run.
Yeah, ate him up inside, running that ball in a little bit, kind of backing up on him.
Christopher Levi Gutierrez. Bounce to third is only time in. Pretty good movement on that pitch. Throw's going to end up in center field. So Massie's on his way to third base with a stolen base and an E2.
A good jump right there. Now Marshan's got a really strong arm. Now he did not have the accuracy on that throw, but boy, the arm strength is certainly there. Good read there, getting into second, picking up the ball in the outfield and heading to third.
Levi Gutierrez is uncommitted and one of the handful of guys who has not yet made a decision, although maybe coming soon. Ground ball sharply hit to third. A little bit of confusion on whether or not that ball was in the glove or not. And Levi Gutierrez kept right on running, and he's going to reach. It was Wheeler at third base. I don't think he realized for a split second he had it.
It didn't, and what it did, it took the rhythm away from Wheeler, too. So he ended up having to get flat-footed once to realize whether he had the ball or not. And then he didn't have the footwork to get the throw to first. Remember, throwing errors are not about the arm. They're about the feet. Defense and infield defense are really about moving your feet, having that energy and action, always taking in the direction of the throw.
Levi Gutierrez moving well, and he's going to try and steal second base, although he is going to be out here. And the throw was in plenty of time from Fski. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about Levi Gutierrez, and maybe that implies both him reaching and then getting thrown out. Steve, this was a guy who back in 2020 had a golf cart accident where he had his quad tendon split in half, had to stitch all of his skin and his kneecap together.
Wow.
And to see him out there moving around pretty good is just a testament, I guess, to modern medicine and perseverance.
No question about that. And good for him to be back out there again. How about the arm strength? It's Fski, not Marshan, behind the plate right now. Wow. That is serious arm strength. That was great.
And accurate.
And they were waiting for him to get to second base to apply the tag.
Quinn Carson batting with the bases empty and 2 outs and a run home this inning in a 7-2 game. We're in the 8th. Soft flare headed foul down the line and right. Carson bounced to short his only time in. There are times, I think, when it gets a little bit sloppy when you start seeing the ghost runners take it off and the ball that ends up thrown around and whatnot. But every once in a while you see these catchers just really put on a great throw, which you like to see as well.
Now, Fski is having a tough time squeezing it on that, right? Yeah. It is bouncing out of his glove, because that would have been a called strike, I think, if he had caught it.
Carson, the Canadian, waits an account. 3-2 pitch that's fouled off the screen and back into the seats. Maybe no surprise, Carson, who lives in Ontario, is a Vladdy Guerrero Jr. fan. Took that one off his hip, I think.
Yeah, tough Canadian kid, another hockey guy, so he'll
barely phased him.
Take it for the team, eh? And so he's a Vladdy Guerrero fan. Vladdy Guerrero's heating up right now for the Blue Jays. He is really swinging the bat. And the Jays are going to be in one of those positions they have to figure out. Are they going to trade away Vlad Guerrero and Bo Bichette, or are they going to keep them at the deadline?
We're wondering when that might kick in. It feels like lately, finally. Even Springer had a couple of 3-run homers the other day.
Right. They just can't seem to get any momentum going.
Bettis trying to work through his second inning here in this eighth. Lifted to center. Shoot in the frame, and, well, it was up there a long time, and the catch was made by William Johnson to end the inning. Black team gets a run, their second of the game. It's a 7-2 Columbia Blue lead as we head to the bottom of the eighth inning. We head to the bottom of the eighth inning. Seen a lot of baseball today with one more game to follow. Keegan Russell back out for a second inning. Had the unusual 3-run inside the park homer. And then got a strikeout to end his inning after he had K'd the first batter he faced as well. So now out there for a second. Russell is a Kirby Connell fan, the mustached left-hander who pitched for the Tennessee Volunteers, been there like 9 years or something at Tennessee.
Sounds like an editorial comment.
Well, he'd been there a long time.
Just say it sounds like an editorial comment.
Could be. Could entirely be. He was colorful, right? He had that Raleigh fingers look to him.
Of course. So for Russell right now, right, they're going to go out there, talk to him, and O'Donnell, and say, listen, let's get back in the strike zone right here. Like to regroup for him, it's got to be, let's get strike one. Let's get in the zone here. Let's dare them to put the ball in play. You've got such good life and action to your fastball. Dare them. There he is. Set up the sign right down the middle. See that front shoulder come flying, and he throws across his body a little bit.
He's working fast, too, to Shambo. He's going to swing 3-0 and then rolls one into left. I thought maybe Russell might get himself an out, swinging away 3-0, but instead Shambo with the base hit. He had a fly out prior to that. Singles to begin the eighth inning. This was Ezra Essex earlier. And, Steve, this was something to watch our speed guy connect for the first home run.
Yeah, what a showcase for him. I mean, he's one of the fastest players here, and be able to take that ball out over the plate and drive it out of the park. Excellent job.
351 feet. And then we've seen him running the bases as well. Ground ball up the middle. Instead of a chance for a double play, it kicks away, and it rolls into shallow center field. The play was not handled. That ball got upon our second baseman quickly, to say the least. Levi Gutierrez, I think he was caught between the flip and whatnot and never did come up with it.
That's tough sometimes. Well hit ball right there. And you just have to catch it. It's hit so hard. And plus, look, you may not get a double play anyways because of how quick Essex is down the line, even on a well-struck ball right there.
He's going to swipe second base without a throw.
Boy, he can run. Wow. He can really run.
I mean, he's really giving you a look at everything he can do.
He really is. And to have power, too, with that little frame. Got to love it. Shambo had good base running read on that play earlier, too.
Counts 2-0 to Wick. So if you're a guy like Russell and you're fighting it a little bit, the last thing you want to do is start an inning and kind of be fighting your command. But all of a sudden, you get a guy hitting a ground ball on a 3-0 pitch. You don't get the out. You get a ground ball to second that could be a DP. And now you're swimming upstream a bit.
And yet, here's the thing. Like, I like Russell. It's not going well for him out there, but I love his live arm. I love that he's kind of green, a little bit crude. He is a thrower, but there's so much to work with the frame right there. And so, he's got good live action on his pitches. And so there's a lot to work with, even though the performance may not be that great.
Might just get himself a pop-up with runners at second and third and nobody out. Play is going to be made, so that's a nice out to be able to come back and help yourself and get that pop-up for the first out. Okono behind the plate, put that one away.
Well done, understanding that when that ball goes up like that, the rotation is going to bring it back toward the pitcher's mound, right? Back towards the home plate area, and he played the comeback and the return on that well.
This is Troy Ford, who struck out back in the fourth inning in his only previous at bat. Homeschooled kid out of Georgia. Russell works fast. I mean, he doesn't mess around much. Flared out to left. On the run, into a dive, and we might have another chance for an inside-the-park home run with this speed from Ford. He's on his way to third base. The ball doesn't get all the way to the warning track, so he has to stop at third. Had it rolled another 20 feet, he was going to circle it.
He certainly could have, yes. And excellent effort in left field. And you know what, in a game like this, go for it. Go for the great play. If it gets by you, maybe in a different game situation, you may not take a risk on it there, but go for it right there. So the flare into left field is caught into no man's land a little bit, and he gets a decent jump, although he started in the sun right there. Sometimes difficult to pick up the ball. Can't quite get it. He gets away from him, but does a good job hustling after it to be able to get it back in and hold him at third.
It's Quinn Carson and the batter's Campos. If I'm Russell, I'm saying I've had two outfielders leave their feet. Both times the guys are just sprinting around the bases.
Yeah.
And I got to wear it.
This baseball thing's not great.
It's not fair. Fly ball to right field. This is a normal one. Maybe a chance for a throw to the plate here. The catch is made. Delmar's throws a little bit offline, and a sac fly from Campos puts another run on the board for the Columbia Blue team. And it's hard to score this many runs in a showcase game, but they've put up now 3 straight 3-run innings. We'll call it good in the 8th. So that'll do it for Russell, and his 2 innings of work is going to send us to the 9th inning. 9 of 10 innings so far today. It's been all Columbia Blue. And another lefty. This is Joe Olson out of Chicago, who's on to pitch. He's going to have surgery on his elbow last summer. Had surgery on a bone spur in his elbow. He was out for the entire summer and fall. Missed a lot of events and tournaments. Said he was pretty devastated, but had to understand everything happens for a reason. Just a little bump in the road. Certainly eager to get back to work this spring and this summer.
That's so hard when kids have these injuries, and they're happening at earlier and earlier ages because of how much they throw. And, and it's hard sometimes when, you're playing for your local team, you're playing for a travel team, you're playing for a school team, and every coach wants you to be that guy for them. And coordination of communication and information, it doesn't always flow that way. Kids don't always say no, and sometimes, and that's not necessarily the case with Olsen, but just in general, it is one of the complications of young baseball pursuit and trying to protect the arms of pitchers.
His self-scouting report, he said, throw a fastball, changeup, and slider. Says fastball is his best pitch, likes to attack the different parts of the zone. Fastball velo has been consistently 89 to 91 this season, while topping out at 92. Likes to go to a slider, maybe more than the changeup. Claims he's a strike thrower. Made some big pitches in big situations this year in his high school campaign. So here we go. Cole Clark, the batter. Cole Clark had a really nice BP. I believe it's his first at bat of this game as well. We're going to kind of insert him right into the lineup before Delmar.
Little confusion on the pitch right there. I think it's Shambo now going out to talk to him as that pitch looked like he was looking breaking ball, and it ended up being a fastball that fortunately did not clip the umpire.
It's one of the aspects of this showcase with catchers catching pitchers they probably didn't even catch in the bullpen, let alone at any time before. And
right.
You got to figure it out on the fly.
Absolutely, and so very difficult there. So Shambo looking for the breaking ball. That ball goes straight right there. And fortunately, the umpire, who didn't even flinch, so good for him, but also didn't get hit right there.
Wonder he didn't wear that right in the Adam's apple. Clark, a UC Irvine commit, takes a strike on the slider.
When you wear your socks like that, you've got to be fast, right? I think it's a prerequisite. You've got to have a sub 6'5", 60 time, I think, to be able to wear your pants up that high and your socks up.
You let the umpire see if that pitch is a little bit low, though. If that crosses black, you might say, hey, that's down.
Exactly.
Chop it to short. Here's Strowman throwing on the run, adding a little flare, making the out.
One of the things that young infielders need to learn is that when a hitter puts the ball in play, if it immediately hits the dirt in front of home plate instead of the turf, hits the dirt, then you got to come get it right away. If it hits the dirt, you got to come get it. That it's because of the way that it's going to hop. So you always immediately charge once it hits the dirt. If it hits the grass, you've got to play the range or let it come to you a little bit more.
Well, I think that's a great coaching point. Jason Delmar, the batter, here against Joe Olsen, the Louisville commit. It used to be when they had grass in this facility, it played like a parking lot. I mean, the ball would hit and skip and whatnot. And, I don't know if the turf in some senses absorbs a little more now where you don't get quite the acceleration.
Well, I think as you see the ball hit the turf, you see the pebbles come up, right, a little bit out of it. So I think it does cause more friction to keep it from jetting through.
Because even though this ballpark plays with big dimensions, it carries. I mean, you're playing in warm conditions, and it's dry, and the ball will fly. And last thing you want is ground balls that find their way into the outfield, too. Delmar with a chopper up the middle. As I say it nearly hits the base, and then it just bounces into center. Well placed. And Delmar with the single with one out here in the ninth inning.
I think what I heard you just say, it's a dry heat.
Yes, it is.
If I hear that 107 is dry heat.
Last year we were here for the showcase, and it was a week later. I think it was 115 for a high on the week.
The high on Friday is projected to be 115.
Okay, well, there you go. You're going to get a little taste of it.
Yeah.
I'll be in Colorado for softball at that point. But, yeah, here's Nick Diaz. And for a guy who spent 6 years in the AAA ranks broadcasting down the road in Tucson, outdoors in the summer, I'm used to heat.
Yeah.
And our pitchers used to say they were ready to go by the time they drove to the ballpark, just sitting in their car.
Exactly. You stay loose.
Olson ready in the pitch. Zanthonese for a called strike. Olson said Louisville was always one of his schools he was interested in, and Louisville has just raided that market for years. They love the toughness of these Chicago kids. He comes set slowly with a long pause before his pitch. Runner's going. That's a wave and a miss. Here's the throw. Maybe a chance for a strike him out, throw him out, but safe at second base. Well, again, we've seen some catchers really doing a nice job behind the plate. That Shambo gave that a pretty good try.
Yeah, good arm strength right there. Now, interesting setup, down on one knee as he waits for it right there. And then come up and make the throw. Quick release. Good strong arm.
2 outs for Gallo. Flew out to right his only time in. Shambo blocks that one. The runner's going to try to advance and will.
Well, that is a great read by Delmar right there. You're a runner on base. Anticipate the ball in the dirt, and as soon as it goes, break and get the third, and you can almost always get there because Shambo did an excellent job blocking it, keeping it in front, and getting on it quickly. But, wow, excellent base running and instincts by Delmar.
I'm with you. Just reading that ball down and advancing, if you hesitate, you're probably going to get thrown out. One ball, one strike to Gallo. This is the first of a couple of innings. We're scheduled to see Olson both in this, the 9th, and then again in the 10th. Driven to right. This ball has a little bit of carry to it. Should be caught, will be caught to end the inning. So the play was made by Trey Meyers. 4 batters come to bat, and Olson does not give up a run. So it sends us to the bottom of the 9th inning. First of a couple of games today. It's been all Columbia Blue to this point. We go to the bottom of the 9th here, the first of a couple of games today. Black in Columbia. Seen a handful of Canadians. We've got another one. As a part-time farmer in Iowa, Steve, I know you're a Connecticut guy, so you're far from the Midwest. We like our good acres. Well, and the mound, I guess you like a good acre too here in Bend.
I like that. I'm from Michigan, more
you
Midwest.
You can understand
so,
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And but it's interesting from where our perspective. He looks small on the mound, and it's only because the other guy's been 6'7" and 6'8". This is a big specimen, 6'3", 180, athletic build on the mound. And he's a guy who sort of rears back, and so he tips his shoulders back and then comes forward with it. We'll see if he can't get back to that release point that he needs to, but could add some deception to his delivery as well.
Yeah, you're grading on the curve from a size standpoint, and I completely get it.
Yeah, right?
With what we've seen.
A little fella on the mound, it's 6'3".
Yeah, little guy facing Jack Wheeler. His fastball, he says, 90 to 93, slider 76, 78, curveball, changeup, heavy use of fastball, says Goodacre, who is a West Virginia commit, stands with a closed stance, and he got a wild swing and a miss there from Wheeler, who lined to left his only time in.
Goodacre's got a lot of arms and legs and gloves and things flying at you with that delivery. A lot of moving parts, it seems.
Well, I would agree. Likes to watch Chase Burns pitch, who will be one of the top pitchers taken out of the draft. Probably he or Hagen Smith, one of the two. He says he's gained 5 miles an hour of velocity since January.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot in a few months. And so, I mean, it can be mechanical improvements, bigger, stronger, faster from last year to this year.
He says eating and lifting, too. I mean, those are time-tested. 2-1 to Wheeler. The Chris Bryant-type body here from the Chicago kid. Well, he's had a couple of swings where he's kind of jackknifed there in the batter's box.
I think it's tough to pick up where the ball's coming from.
I think it is.
If you watch with his delivery, right, his glove hand comes flying at the hitter, and then his arms and legs come after you.
Well, I think that is a great conversation point as that one's fouled back. I mean, you're trying to pick up something that's moving, and it's the glove going one direction.
Yeah, now when I see a pitcher like Goodacre, my immediate thought is reliever, because there's so much effort into it, right? It's not smooth and easy that you think its short spurts are going to be better for it than the ability to go 6 or 7 innings in a game.
Well, Wheeler waits on the breaking ball and rolls it in left for a base hit. He's able to keep those hands back, and I'm with you. I think there's a deception aspect, too, that might play over a couple of innings.
I think he did Wheeler a favor throwing him a breaking ball right there, because he was not getting around on the fastball and not seeing it very well, but he ended up hanging the breaking ball. And to your point, Brett, he did keep the hands back to get the breaking ball and pull it through the hole.
Because he was certainly geared up for something else. Lopez Santana bats. That one's going to find its way to the backstop. Wild pitch, pass ball, whatever your pleasure there. Corbin Reynolds had his hands full on that one. And maybe it's hard for the catchers, too, not just the hitters trying to pick up that baseball.
Yeah, one of the things that can be difficult with a delivery like Goodacre is when that glove hand goes flying like that, if it tilts any way at all, it moves the release point of where your pitching hand goes, because watch how aggressive and violent that front hand goes out at the hitter.
Almost kind of pulls it or drags it. Up the middle, diving stoppage short. Are we going to have a close play at first? It's not going to be in time, but that's Owen Gregg who laid out. And, Steve, that was just a great effort.
Well, it saves a run, too, right? Runner on second base, you want to keep it in the infield. And so that diving play kept the runner who was on second from scoring on that play. So good read on the play. Good job keeping it in the infield. Excellent job getting to his feet. Good hustle down the line as well. Well,
actually rolled out of his glove, and he was able to kind of pull it back to himself with the bare hand to even make it close. And here's Strowman. Was 0 for 2, getting his third at bat, and he's going to shank one over the netting into the stands, past the dugout.
Jaden Strowman, the younger brother of Marcus Strowman. Marcus also went to Duke. Pitcher now for the New York Yankees.
You know, it's funny, we ask these guys to list their family members, their parents, and their siblings, and it helps. Throw down to second base is going to be in time. Well, that was a strong throw by Reynolds from his knees. To gun down Santana, and the runner at third, Wheeler, did not try to score.
Yeah, interesting decision not to try to score from third on the play. But excellent quick release from his knees, and everything he has in it. The hop perfectly caught at second base and sliding right into the tag.
I was saying with Strowman, though, we asked these guys to list off their family members, and it's fun because some have multiple brothers, siblings, whatnot, playing college sports. He just lists his parents. You know, there's no reference to brother.
Oh.
So if you were just skimming through the bios and you didn't check out the last name, and Reynolds has had a feast or famine inning behind the plate here, and that's going to provide a run. Might not know, but I would say this has been a task for Reynolds, who's not scheduled to catch the 10th with this same pitcher, where he's just trying to fight his way through it.
Yeah, he's having a tough time centering him up back there. So he did a good job of the throw to second to get the runner, to hold the runner at third, and then obviously a pass ball allowed him to come in.
Let me ask you another follow-up question. Is Strowman's going to wave and miss? Able to come back and get the out was Goodacre. With all the moving parts, the one thing he starts kind of close to begin with, so you're trying to find that baseball before you see all the movement.
Right. Yeah. No. It's got to be very difficult to pick it up, and look, deception is a big part of what can work for a pitcher, but you have to be able to command as well.
Marshan has doubled and bounced to short.
Yeah, Marshan has Sean Murphy behind the plate for the Atlanta Braves right now. He's got same body type and look to him, and a lot of similarities in the comparison.
Brother David plays at Mississippi State. Saw them earlier this year in person. South Carolina native is Marshan. Good pitch in there.
Going to South Carolina. Just had one of my boys graduate from the University of South Carolina. Right? Yeah. A couple of Mays ago, but good baseball program there. Whit Merrifield there.
No doubt.
Jordan Montgomery, I think, pitched there.
Jackie Bradley?
Jackie Bradley, sure. Yeah, he's a South Carolina guy. Good baseball program.
Two and two. That ball's absolutely ripped, but foul down the line and left by Marshan at 105.6 off his bat.
Yeah, he's a good-looking player. He's a good-looking player. Good frame. He's strong, athletic-looking. Handles himself behind the plate. He's got some throwing strength to him. And get a pitch right there, just aggressive. Rolled over on it a little bit. He'll learn how to pull his hands through and keep that pitch fair. That's one of the things big league hitters do. They pull their hands through in front of themselves to get the bat head of the ball to keep that fair.
That's going to be strike three. Good pitch from Goodacre to get Marshan to end the inning. Run does score and a pass ball. A little bit of everything, a mixed bag in that frame, but going to send us to the 10th inning. Columbia Blue has put 11 runs up on the board. We go to the 10th. Most of our showcase games are 10 innings. In fact, this is one of the rare ones where we are seeing 5 pitchers go exactly 2 innings each for both teams. Here at the National Showcase Day 1. So back to work goes Joe Olson. Cade Goldstein struck out his only time in. Bats here in the 10th in a lefty-lefty matchup. Starting again with that breaking ball for a first pitch strike.
And Goldstein gave a little bit on that pitch. A little flinch there, looking fastball, got breaking ball, but something to remember for Olson during the course of the at-bat.
Came a little bit in with a fastball just under 90 on the gun. Very simple windup from Olson.
Yeah, not a lot of wasted movement, right? He's just out there and throwing. And remember, we talked about he had the surgery last summer, and with the elbow, he's got the sleeve on.
Which is unique.
Elbow. It is unique and makes you wonder a little bit about, how he's feeling. But I don't worry so much about the velocity. The fact he's able to throw in strikes, the velocity will come back to where he wants it to be.
He plunked Goldstein in the helmet. And, talking about a bone spur, obviously Tommy John is just part of our daily conversation in the world of baseball. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon because of just the nature of where we're at with velocity and whatnot. But bone spurs, I mean, that's got to be just wildly painful trying to pitch through that.
Here's the concern you have when somebody has a bone spur as they wait to make sure Goldstein is doing okay. And I don't.
We're going to flip batters, I think.
Yeah, I don't love a guy staying in and gets hit in the head. But when you have a bone spur, it's like a callus on the bone, and that generally happens when bone on bone rubs together. And generally that happens when there's some laxity or looseness in the elbow, which makes you think about the ligament in the elbow too.
Yes.
And so you can go in and remove the bone spur, but it does make me worry that there's some ligament issue going on there too. Don't know it, but generally from my experience and having so many guys that have gone through this stuff, that's a lot of times what it means.
It's just something to keep in mind, I guess, going forward, should there be any arm issues or whatnot. Owen Gregg is going to bat, and I think Goldstein might come back up later on, maybe even next. But nonetheless, Gregg will step in with nobody out in the 10th. Gregg flew out to right his only time in, so these black hitters trying to get their second at bat. We've had a few from Columbia Blue that have batted 3 times because they've scored 11 runs.
On 14 hits today.
In a game where I think we've seen pretty good pitching for the most part.
Yeah, good stuff, and guys, very projectable pitchers for sure.
A little bit outside at 89.9. That's where, as a pitcher, you hope they round up. Just say I threw that one 90 rather than
absolutely
89.9. It's like a batter that hits 299 for a season or 299.4 or something. That one fouled away. Seeing Gregg make some plays out at second base and shortstop. He's covered in dirt already. It's hard to be too dirty indoors here on turf, but he's found a way. The dirt on the infield and whatnot, and that one's high for ball 3.
So for Olson right now, he's missing up and arm side, and that's either fatigue or a lot of times, guys, the front shoulder goes because they're trying to overthrow. Now, it doesn't feel like he's trying to overthrow, which makes me think that maybe just run out of a little bit of gas.
It's poked foul down the line and right, and you could see where, listen, that's a couple of innings and whatnot, but you're up early, you're here, there's a little bit of adrenaline. You probably flew in yesterday. It's not your normal type routine.
Oh, the emotional energy that you spend at these events. The kids go back and they're exhausted from it because, you're on all the time. You know that you're on with the guys around you who you're trying to make an impression with the scouts and everybody involved in it. It takes a lot out of you.
Another 3-2 pitch, up and out, so we'll be full of ghost runners here in this 10th inning. And that may be a case for Olson. As much as I hate to say it for this black team, we may not see a total of 5 batters. It may be a case where you've seen him pitch the 9th, and he's on in the 10th. He hit a guy earlier in Goldstein who's back on deck. You're just trying to see a few more batters.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Count reverts to 0-2. Fastballs only for Gregg, and then he just took a chunk out of our catcher.
Yeah, I think for Olson, too, the other thing he does a bit is he throws across his body. So when he strides toward home plate, the foot's not directly toward the catcher. It's a little bit more toward maybe like where the on-deck batter circle might be here at the stadium. And then if you're going to do that, you can. It adds deception. But then you really have to get out over that leg. And he's sort of lagging behind a little bit with it.
Might just get himself an out of third on the bases. So that will help out the cause, so to speak. So he may not have to face the compliment, but our lead runner cut down at third base.
There was a game in the major leagues last week where a pitcher came in, picked off a runner, and then
got a win.
Got a win out of it. Did not face the batter.
I remember that. I sure remember the name since it happened just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I don't remember the name either. So
Was it Oakland?
It may have been. It's our age, so we don't have to remember the name. We're forgiven.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count. High pop-up, foul territory. Plenty of room over there, and that play will be made for the second out.
Well, nice job by Olsen coming back this inning. You know, he got himself in a little bit of trouble and was laboring through.
Sean Newcomb was the batter, so I don't feel so bad that I couldn't remember Sean Newcomb for the Oakland A's. So I get partial credit.
All right, good. All right. Well done. Well done.
Goldstein was hit by a pitch earlier this inning, and it felt like yesterday. But he's back in there now, batting with 2 outs in the inning.
Of course, you get hit in the head, and then the first pitch comes up and in on you a little bit there.
Yeah, that's not fair either.
Got to keep that front shoulder closed to the hitter. Think about driving it over the shortstop's head.
A little bit elevated, 2-2. Top of the 10th here in this first of 2 games in a busy day 1 of the National Showcase. He's going to drive that one in the air to center, sending our center fielder back pedaling where Monsur will make the catch. So that was a busy inning, but Olsen was able to kind of walk the tightrope, so to speak. We're going to face one more, or we're going to call it good?
Nope, call one more hitter.
Columbia Blue was ready to head off the field as well. Remember, we had the caught stealing and the fly out and the pop-up, but must want to let Lantigua bat here. So Olsen is saying, I was having a hard time getting to 3 outs. Now you want me to get 4. They did clear the base runners as well. So just one more opportunity for Lantigua to bat in this top of the 10th inning. Our first base umpire was standing behind the mound, and then he says, wait a minute, there's nobody on base. I'm going to retreat to my regular position. "14 hits for Columbia Blue to 3 for Team Black." Olsen back now working from that full windup. Fouled back to the right and into the upper deck.
You know, one of the things that scouts will watch and coaches will watch is, you know, the difference between a guy in the windup and out of the stretch and what mechanical changes need to be made, maybe to get him to be more consistent as the same pitcher in both ways with stuff and command.
Floats in a little bit high, 3-1. He's got matching cleats to go along with his Columbia Blue jersey. Yeah. By coincidence, by happenstance, and that just did miss down and out. All right, Manny, we're letting you bat, but we're not here all day for it. Let's go.
Olsen's body language is getting a little bit defeated out there, too. He's got to keep battling.
That.
Yeah, got to keep battling.
It's that time-tested rhythm of getting that third out and thinking, I'm done, and that split second, you're like, no, wait a minute.
Right.
One more.
You go to the dugout, the manager says you're done, and he says, hey, can you give me one more?
That's right.
And it's like you got to ramp it back up again. It never works.
You've also seen the velo, I think, and I was just wondering if Lantigua was going to hit, right? I mean, the whole purpose is to give him an extra AB, but now you let someone else bat. But it's gone from 89-ish to about 87-ish. You know, he's starting to get a little tired.
Yeah. That's a lot of pitches in an inning.
Fouled right at the plate.
Get strike one, right? You got to, you know, when I see kids struggling like that, I just really want you to get strike one. Think about strike one. Okay, now get right back in there for strike 2. Don't get cute. Don't work the corners. Throw it in there.
Just kind of trick yourself mentally. Just go one pitch at a time.
Yeah, one at a time, and just keep being aggressive in the zone. Don't try to miss bats.
Saw it off the bat, and there's a liner to short, so that was a costly AB for Lantigua. That thing went barreling towards the backstop.
Got hit by a pitch and broke his bat.
It broke his bat. And he wasn't even supposed to bat that inning. That wasn't a fair sequence. It's not a fair game as we go to the bottom of the 10th. Saw this one off.
Yeah, sawed him off right there. And, yep. Unfortunately, nobody injured with it.
We're going to work our way into the bottom of the 10th inning. Goodacre back out there for a second. We started this day way back when with the skills portion. In fact, we began with the 60s, and these were the top times we saw today. And Steve, I'm just kind of blown away. You get to the top 10 list, there's not even a 6.5. You had to run sub 6.5 to be in the top 10.
That's pretty amazing. We got Goldstein in this game. William Patrick in this game. Ezra Essex in this game as well. Essex hitting a home run also in this game. We saw him steal a base. So a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism on the kids in this ball game right now.
I think that bodes well for our game. As we talked about, speed has been reintroduced at all levels. And maybe a little more dynamic aspect. I mean, quite honestly, batting averages have never been at an all-time low. Strikeouts at all-time high. If we can just get these guys on base a little more, we can see it in play.
And yet we rave about the teams who make contact and that they're the better teams, the teams that put it in play. Yet, teams still are building the way they think the best way to score runs is to hit home runs.
One swing, yep. Fski singled and scored back in the 6th, so this is his third at bat. And I get it. I mean, I see a lot of SEC baseball. I think it's the best conference, and it's equivalent to some of the lower minor league levels from a depth of talent sometimes. And, it's hard at that level to string together 4 hits in an inning, too. Now, whether you can get a hit and a stolen base to produce a run, but you're talking about a big inning, it usually involves a big swing at some point.
No, it does, right? Can you string 3 or 4 singles together to put up a crooked number? It's tough to do.
Especially against pitchers throwing 95+ and velo and stuff and whatnot. And never have we known more how to pitch. I mean, it's one thing to be able to throw with 95 and spin, but where do you want to throw it? How do you want to sequence it?
Right. It is dramatically changed. And so pitchers are going for strikeouts, hitters are going for home runs, and yet speed is something that can change the game on both sides of the ball.
Kentucky was a team this year that got to the College World Series by utilizing kind of an old-fashioned approach with more speed than anything else. And Fski's going to wave and miss. So Goodacre gets the K to begin the bottom of the 10th inning.
Coming out there aggressive with that fastball. He did hit the bull on one of the pitches there.
He did.
That's well located and overpowering.
I like that location a lot. Next, Kilby singled and a run back in the 6th, which was the first of 3 straight 3-run innings. It's hard to score 3 runs when you're only sending a max of 5 hitters to the plate, but Columbia Blue got loose there for a few. Feet close together, starts with an open stance and takes one maybe a little bit outside.
Tall, loose, lanky young man, very athletic looking. And that's a body and a frame that scouts look at and think, boy, we're going to add some strength to him, and he's going to be fast and strong. Goodacre really regrouping in this inning and threw a nice changeup earlier. Pretty good breaking ball right there as well. 70 miles per hour. 10.64 inches of horizontal break.
That's a good pitch as well on the curve. What's a number of horizontal break that kind of catches your attention?
Well, I couldn't hit anything that broke.
Understood.
So, yeah. But, I mean, that is, I think over 10 inches worth of horizontal break is pretty amazing right there. And he's got, that was 12.25 inches. And he comes right back with 93. A little straight. Fastball's a little bit straight. Forcing, look at the breaking ball right there. That thing dropped.
You give up on that.
Yeah, you give up, right? Especially if it's up in your eyes. You sort of see it. You think, oh, it's going to be a ball. And then it breaks right down in the zone.
Wave and a miss. 93 for strike 3.
You go soft away with the breaking stuff and then overpowering up and in. Really difficult to catch up to that.
Well, that's an impressive sequence.
Yeah, very good sequencing this time around, and much more aggressive this inning, too, from him.
As a hitter watching that replay, I almost feel like it's a little bit in, and all of a sudden it cuts back, and it almost feels like it's rising a bit.
Yeah, but you watch his delivery. You almost wonder if he even can see the catcher once he's throwing the ball with the way his head jerks. I mean, really, think about that delivery where his head is tilting. It's violent, right? And that's why I think bullpen for him, because it's really hard for somebody to maintain that sort of aggressive max effort for 6 or 7 innings in a game.
William Johnson has 2 hits. Chance for a 3-hit showcase game. Out back into the upper reaches of Chase Field.
Well, if he's been watching 0-2, or whenever he's gotten 2 strikes on him, Goodacre's gone with that fastball up and in to the left-handed hitter.
It's almost locked him up.
Locked him up, especially because he shows you that breaking ball and you just give up on it.
And Johnson really standing over the inside corner of the plate.
Johnson's showing himself to be a pretty good hitter today. With a changeup right there. So he's showing him the fastball, he's showing him the curveball, and he's showing him the changeup. 2-2 count.
Seeing a little bit of everything. Can Goodacre finish him off? Left one elevated, and it was tomahawked into right for a base hit. You probably put that pitch down 4 or 5 inches. Maybe you don't give up the base hit, but, it doesn't matter what level. When somebody leaves one up, usually they're put in play.
William Johnson's a good hitter. It's the second time we've seen him go up on a high fastball and be able to level off a swing on that. Now, the first time up, he poked it into left field, pulls one right there, and I'll tell you, he's
that's a 3-hit day.
Really, really solid effort on his part swinging the bat.
I mean, you come to a showcase and you're thinking, I'm probably going to get 4 at-bats, maybe 5. I'd like to get a hit or 2. You get 3 out of the gate.
Yeah, you got to be feeling good about it.
This is another guy that's been fun to watch. Maddox Mansour has 2 hits and a couple of runs batted in.
Stolen base.
You could have guys back-to-back in this Columbia lineup with 3 hits, and then again they've had 11 runs on 15 hits collectively in this 10-inning game.
Mansour checking with the umpire whether he thought that pitch was going to be a strike or not. A lot of times you'll see hitters, doesn't matter what level, right? When you swing at it, you want to know, did I make the right decision right there? And that instant feedback can be helpful.
Could be the final batter of our game. 2-2.
Trying to overthrow the breaking ball a little bit right now, right? Trying to throw the best one ever. And so he's over trying to spin it, and it's sort of floating in there a little bit.
I think that would be good advice. He's trying to leave with the best of the day to finish things off, and in so doing is getting further away from where he was not that long ago.
Yeah, I tell you, when you try to max up on things, it doesn't give you your best one. It's the fluid, smooth, easy, where everything's in sync is when you get your best fastball and curveball.
3-2 pitch. Caught on and missed. So Goodacre finishes off his 2 innings of work. In fact, he got 3 strikeouts that frame around the strikeout. So he was interesting, if nothing else.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And some deceptional delivery and some explosive stuff.
One more game coming up at 5. Steve will be back with Darren Sutton, who's going to pop back in the chair. Columbia Blue and Black finish off the contest. 11 runs, 11-2 our score. Columbia with the win over the Black team. So we got things started with a home run from Essex. We saw an inside the park home run. Saw some good left-handed pitching. Good pitching in general, despite the 11 runs for Columbia Blues. So for Steve Phillips and our entire crew, I'm Brett Dolan. Come back at 5 p.m. local time here in Arizona for Gold against Gray as we continue off with Day 1, the Perfect Game National Showcase from Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So long for now on PerfectGame.tv.